like this is called the Pesky Report. Like.
Welcome to the Pesky Report, episode 569. We are brought to you by Beyond the Monster. It is the minor league show, and it's Jake. I'm here. It's not a common. Hey, Hunter. Hunter's here. It's just Hunter and I to start out today. Derek is doing college kid things. He will be on later. Basically, the way this episode is going to work is I'm going to be on with Hunter for probably about an hour. We're going to catch up on a few things related to the system. Hunter's going to give his sort of full rundown of what happened with Portland this past week, because Hunter saw most of the games when they played the Somerset Patriots, the Yankees AA affiliate. There were a lot of major leaguers around.
I was going to say AA affiliate is stretching it with how they were playing this week.
Not just any major leaguers were around. So Hunter's going to get into that. We're going to talk about a couple of other subjects, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the article that I wrote for Beyond the Monster this past week. With that, let's start, Hunter, with Portland. Again, they played over the border from Pennsylvania, where you are, in Somerset, New Jersey, playing the Somerset Patriots, Yankees team, and a lot of interesting things to discuss. So why don't you just tell us, give us maybe the rundown of how things went, which games you went to, and what you saw, and kind of who stood out.
Yeah. So first off, I always love to mention that I'm a big fan of the food situation there. They usually do a very good job with catering. I did find something I don't agree with, and it is that they do have Dippin' Dots, but they don't have banana split Dippin' Dots, and that's a travesty. I think that you should just be shut down at that point. It's the best Dippin' Dots flavor, and not having them is high treason. One of the first things that stands out to me, and it's not like I'm around the major league team, so I can't really speak on this, but just like I know for fans right now, it's not fun watching the Boston Red Sox. Literally 2 seconds before we started recording, Roman Anthony was taken out of the game with a wrist injury. The things are piling up. Yeah. The team's has one of the worst records in baseball. The Houston Astros being 9-20 against the rest of Major League Baseball, and then being 5-1 against the Red Sox just kind of tells you how poorly the season's going. Baseball's supposed to be fun, and it's really cool to see them having fun.
Absolutely.
I'd be down on the field before, or I'd be in the dugout watching batting practice, and they would do drills where someone's standing on second, and when whoever's hitting, for example, this was Miguel Blaze was hitting, and when he hits the ball, they have to react as if it was an actual hit. So if it's a fly ball, they have to get ready to tag up in case it's caught, and they have to try to score. And Franklin Arias, who is someone we have talked about a ton, looked like it. He made it look like it was the most fun thing in the world. He was standing by home plate, and he was he tackled Marvin Alcantara. People are laughing. Apparently Nate Baez speaks decent Spanish, because they're all yelling at him in Spanish, and he's screaming back at them. It was just, it's fun to see. Again, it's hard to speak on the Red Sox team in general, but you could imagine there were obviously just those comments from Wilson Contreras about how the team feels a little bit looser now with Alex Cora gone. Take those comments however you want them. But it's easy to imagine that it's probably not the most exciting and loose and fun environment in the Boston Red Sox clubhouse right now. And it's cool to see kids enjoying the game the way it should be enjoyed, and laughing and having fun and doing stupid things. And John Hollowbetz was talking about how fast he could run, he thinks his 40 time would be better. That I forget the time he said, but it was some time that Tyreek Hill wasn't doing at the combine tenure. He's sitting there claiming he's the fastest human alive. So it's goofiness, and I love that. And then, as we kind of alluded to, Somerset pulled out all the stops. It's not that they were doing it on purpose, but
the Yankees, you never know.
This week, Garrett Cole pitched, Carlos Rodon pitched, It got to a point where it was like, my God, this they're just throwing out all the hits. They would mention like in the press box the night before, they'd be like, oh yeah, Garrett Cole's going tomorrow. And I was like, oh, that's cool. I forgot he was still rehabbing. And then literally during that game, they were like, oh yeah, Carlos Rodon's going tomorrow. And I was like, my God, what is happening?
Well, first off, on those points, I want to say congratulations to the players on the Somerset Patriots who probably had very nice food and dinners instead of like with a normal post-game spread or whatever they actually provide to the players for 2 nights in a row. They probably had the finest food that Somerset, New Jersey has to offer 2 nights in a row. So congratulations to those guys. But because that's a custom. The especially guys that make as much money as Rodon and Cole do.
$200 million contracts. They better be pulling out all the stops.
Yes, exactly. But anyway, continue.
But I mean, it's awesome experience for these guys. Like, even for the most part, Garrett Cole dominated for a while, and then he kind of fell off the rails. And Carlos Rodon was hard to hit, obviously. But it creates opportunities for players to step up in moments against Garrett Cole has won a Cy Young award. Like this is a potential Hall of Fame pitcher that they're facing. And Johan Fran Garcia hit a homer off of him, and Max Ferguson hit a homer off of him, and Nelly Taylor hit a single and then stole a base when Carlos Rodon was pitching. So like these people are getting cool moments. As to what stood out to me, one, this is just, it's such a funny team because we've talked about it a bunch. It's kind of Franklin Arias and when it comes to the lineup. And like now that Johan Fran Garcia is there, I think that's another big bat who will provide a lot of pop for them. But there's like no other standout offensive players really. So you'll see it in games where if the pitcher struggles, it's happened a couple times this year where Portland loses, 12-0, 13-0, 14-1. And then the next game they'll win 9-0. And it's like, oh, Hayden Mullins pitched a gem and Johan Fran Garcia hit a homer and Franklin Arias did ridiculous things. And it's funny. Franklin Arias went 6 for 24 this week, 250, which is not a bad week, but for him, it's a terrible week. He did hit a double. He also hit a homer. And in the most Franklin Arias way, it was a 2-run homer in the top of the 9th to tie the game. That is becoming a big thing for him, is the flair for the dramatics and just having that clutch gene shining through, which is awesome because it's a very mature thing for a 20-year-old to have. Johan Fran Garcia, obviously I said he homered off Garrett Cole. He had 3 homers this week. He had a bases clearing double. He drove in 8 runs. So he's only hitting 194 on the year, but he's only played 9 games. 8 games. And in those 8 games, he has 9 RBIs. So like the bat is very much there. And it's also, I said this last week, it's a lot of good at bats. It's a lot of deep fly balls. And Franklin Arias also got robbed of a potential home run at one point earlier in the year or in the season. But series, my goodness. Johan Fran Garcia, though, it's a lot of hard contact. And this is his first 8 games in Double-A. So it's been, even though it's a 194 average, it has been basically all positives. Like the power is so evident. He looks a lot healthier. Like last year, that was a big thing. People were like, he looks a little out of shape. He was coming off a knee injury. Like he got a full healthy offseason, and you can tell that it was a good offseason for him. Nelly Taylor continues to struggle. I feel bad. So I tweeted after he got the single and the steal off Carlos Rodon, like, hey, look at that. You talk to me. Good things happen. Next 2 at-bats, he got robbed of hits. Diving play in center, diving play at second base. And it was like, all right, this is might be my fault.
Right.
He did end up hitting...
Reminder to just be humble.
Yes. He did end up hitting a homer later in the week. Brooks Brandon hit a homer. Will Turner, 5 for 16, had his first 2 Double-A homers. He's been very solid. Again, like just a 220 batting average, but he's got a 434 on base. He's stolen 6 bases. He's just another really good defensive outfielder. Miguel Blaze hit a homer off of Carlos Rodon.
Yeah.
I also got to speak to him. Juan Rivera, the pitching coach, was the translator there. So that was my first time meeting either of them. Both very nice people. I talked to Emma Tiedemann, and she said, like, a lot of these guys can speak some English, but they don't like doing interviews in English because you don't want to say something that you didn't mean to say, and then it turns into a whole thing. So it is fun to interact with some of them, and they'll give you a sentence or two in English. And it's just like, oh, look at that. Yeah. He wanted to express that, and but he might have had one of the most electric batting practices I've ever watched. And then he used a metal bat, and I thought someone was going to die. I like the fact that there were still infielders. It was terrifying. I was like, hey, you better be paying attention because, and then Gage Zeal had his best game as in the Red Sox system. He went 7 innings, 2 runs, 5 hits, 3 strikeouts, didn't walk anybody. And if it wasn't for Marco Luciano, he would have been almost perfect. Luciano hit 2 solo homers off of him, and then the other 3 hits were all weak singles. Luciano's another guy. He should not be in Double-A.
No,
he's been into the majors before. He was a top prospect. He's 24, and he's hitting like 300 with 9 homers. So like he definitely should not be in Double-A. I wouldn't be shocked if he moves up, especially with Dominguez now back in the majors for the Yankees. Yeah. But overall, like, there were a couple massive blowouts. And then there were a couple, but then like Portland blew them out on Sunday. But to me, the big thing was just, it was really good experience for a lot of these guys to get to face Luciano and Volpe, even though technically they're both minor leaguers now because Volpe was optioned to AAA, for the hitters to go up against these great these great pitchers. And I'm trying to think of who it was. I think it was Zeal got Volpe to ground into 2 double plays in pretty big spots. Volpe actually was getting booed at one point, which was kind of funny. But the way that they play, it's just, again, my main takeaway is just that baseball's meant to be fun, and it's cool to see these young guys having fun despite the situations happening. Because a lot of the players I talked to Emma Tiedemann, I talked to some of the coaches. The big topic of discussion was all of the firings in the majors, and because that affected the Double-A team.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about
managers
that.
got called up, and they have interim managers and interim pitching coaches and interim hitting. It shuffled so many things, and Drew Earhart is not on the team anymore because he's the bullpen catcher in the majors. And just like everybody was thrilled for him. And like the first thing Emma Tiedemann said to me was, like, oh, well, anyone would have told you that he's going to become a coach at some point. Like, it was so obvious with him that he would become a coach. And not to, I don't know how to word this without sounding like a dick, but like, he was 27 hitting 180 in Double-A.
Yeah.
Like, this is a good career move for him. He is
absolutely
transitioning into a position. We talked about it last week. Brian Abraham, friend of the show, he was at one point a bullpen catcher. Like, this is a stepping stone for him. And it's a very cool opportunity for him, and it's a chance for him to be part of the Boston Red Sox. So, and just like everyone was thrilled for him, and everyone gave such good responses about, not letting all the changes, like they haven't let it affect them, and how it's business as usual, and they're still having fun, and they trust the people that have been put in charge, like in Double-A now. Like they all had good relationships with them already, and they were thrilled for Chad Epperson, and obviously, unsurprisingly, not a bad word said about Chad Epperson. And I got to see Justin Slayton throw a rehab inning, and he looked fantastic. He gave up a leadoff single, and then I believe it was fly out, strikeout looking, strikeout swinging. And dear Lord, could the Red Sox use some good news right now? So if Justin Slayton can get healthy and help the bullpen, that would be great. But yeah, that's about it. I don't want to ramble on for too long. I already feel like I'm talking too much, but yeah, just a fun week. Cool to get to see Franklin. That's the first time I ever got to see Franklin Arias live. As fun as advertised. The pitching, there's a lot of good pitchers. some of them didn't have the best weeks. John Holubitz had a really rough outing.
Yeah.
But like Hayden Mullins was phenomenal. Again, that was the best start of Zeal's career, or Zeal's Red Sox career. And yeah, it was. I feel like there was one other pitcher that.
Well,
maybe not.
Yeah. Look, like, so it's all great information when you get to go to one of these series to see all these guys. Well, do you remember who it was?
Yes, it was Jetix Paez.
Oh, right.
Jetix Paez was the starter for a game. He's only really been getting like 1 to 2 innings. But another guy who we've talked about it a ton again, where it's just a weird situation for him with getting to the majors and then coming back to the Red Sox, and now he got his major league debut before his AA debut. It's very strange. But it's good to see that it doesn't seem to have done anything to him developmental wise. Like it was also a very short stint, which I think helps. It's not like it was the Noah Song situation where it was dragged out for a year and a half. So him building back up, I think, is going to be another story, because the Red Sox have so much pitching. So it's just another guy who could be a legitimate starter or relief option by the end of the year.
Yeah. So, like I said, it's great to get all this firsthand information from being around the team, the various teams, when you have the chance to do that. And it's great that you got the chance to talk to players and got to talk to the folks that are working there, because I definitely was curious about what the vibe was with the changes to their coaching staff like this early in the season. And I'm going to get into this a little bit more when I talk about the article that I wrote on Beyond the Monster. But I think that it's good to hear that they're kind of taking it in stride, and that, yeah, absolutely, baseball, it's, these guys like are chasing their dream. Like they are, and they're very close to it when they're in AA. They can taste it, and they're going up against guys that are big leaguers in rehab assignments. They're going up probably mostly against other guys that are in the same position as them, that are, really fighting to try to get to the big leagues, where, in AAA, it's a lot of guys that are just kind of hanging on. And, I was at a Woo Sox game a week ago Sunday, and, you kind of see up and down, the lineup, especially for like the Syracuse Mets and others, that they've just got guys that are, former big leaguers, and guys that are trying to, but like at AA, it's these guys that are hungry, and they want to impress, but like, it's nice to see and nice to know that they're not like pressing, that they're just trying to enjoy the ride as much as anything else. And I like to think that the Red Sox encourage those guys to try to enjoy the ride as much as they can. Because, these guys, a lot of them are not going to be in the big leagues. A lot of them are not going to make it. A lot of them maybe are going to be there briefly. A lot of guys that maybe AA is the highest level that they ever get to. But like, they get to tell their families, if they have kids, their kids or their grandkids in the years in the future, that they got to do this. They got to play at this level, and I'll tie this to my other life, doing my YouTube channel and doing sports cards. I've been doing this project where I send off cards from the 1968 Topps set to people that are thankfully are still alive, who played in the majors in 1968. And, I send their cards off to get autographed through the mail. And I think about like these guys that are in their 80s. Some of these guys are in their 90s. I've sent cards to guys that were 90. There's one guy that I sent to recently who was 97. And there are guys who, unfortunately, in the time since I sent the autograph and got the autograph back, that have passed away. Bill Mazeroski was one of them. And Roy Face, who pitched for the Pirates in the 50s and 60s. So I think about those guys and the stories that they have and the joy that they played with. It was a much different era back then. Those guys had to work other jobs. It wasn't until free agency didn't come into Major League Baseball until 1975. And most of these guys had jobs in the off season. And so for them, playing baseball was all about joy, because because unless they were a superstar and they could get endorsements and other things like that, they didn't make a lot of money. So I think about the story. So these guys right now that are in AA that you saw this week, a lot of these guys maybe are not going to be in the big leagues, but they will be able to tell their kids, their grandkids, their families that I got to face Garrett Cole in a game when I was playing for the Portland Sea Dogs against the Somerset Patriots in 2026. And it's really nice to hear that these guys are enjoying the ride. So, so I appreciate you framing it like that and sharing it like that, because that's what this is what this is supposed to be about.
Yes, thank you. And you did remind me. Another thing I was told. Max Ferguson, Tyler McDonough, two guys who have been in AAA, especially Max Ferguson, because he's killing it in AA this year. Probably neither of them should be in AA. They've both had good numbers in AAA. Tyler McDonough was someone coming into the season I thought could be major league depth. Both got a ton of praise for how good they've been this year. Professionalism, leaders, not letting the fact that they got sent back to AA affect them. Like, they're still having a ton of fun. So it all ties into that, where it's like they're enjoying playing baseball, and it's good to see that's, because I could see how that could piss off a lot of people. Like, hey, I hit 275 in AAA last year and I played all over the field, and now you have me back in AA. Like, I could see how that would bother people. So it's good to see that they got a ton of praise from a ton of different people about being great locker room guys, because they are two of the bigger veterans on the team.
Yeah, and very possible that those guys could be not have that attitude, like, considering the fact that they've been in AAA and that they kind of have they're in this position because of, especially position players like, infielders in particular. There's a lot of those guys in AAA right now that need playing time. So, all right, so let's talk about if we're all set, like, with the specifics on Portland. Let's talk about a couple of other news items. The big one of the past week was that Anthony Eyanson, very deservedly, is going to be getting moved up to Portland. Now, you had tweeted about this. I'm sorry that you missed Portland and didn't get a chance to see Eyanson, who will likely pitch probably sometime later this week, maybe this weekend for Portland.
He pitched on May 1st. So my guess would be
like Friday,
like Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
So Eyanson, I mean, this was first. I just want to give credit to Chase Ford, who has broken some other Red Sox promotion news in the past. He was the one that had this. Eyanson has just been an absolute revelation this year. He had probably his worst start of the season this past week. He gave up he had 3 walks, and they were his first 3 walks of the season. But still, in 3 2/3 innings, he had 7 strikeouts, just 1 hit, no runs, 3, and like I said, the aforementioned 3 walks. On the season in Greenville, 20 1/3 innings, 34 strikeouts to 3 walks, 7 hits, and just 1 earned run, which he gave up on a home run. So Eyanson has just come out like a house on fire as a pro. You guys have talked about him a lot every week, I assume. And I have, when I do listen, you guys do talk about him. So obviously, he just, what everybody in spring training, from the minute everybody arrived and was seeing what was going on, we're talking that Anthony Eyanson, it's different for him. He figured things out in the offseason. He's throwing a lot harder. He's added more for his off-speed pitches. And it was pretty obvious from the jump at the start of this season a month ago that he was too good for Greenville. So good on the Red Sox for not letting him kind of linger there. Again, we're talking about, like, I think that the competition that he was facing in college in the SEC pitching for LSU is probably more like the AA level at this point. So I'm really glad that he's going to have the opportunity to face hitters in the Eastern League that are more at sort of his level, and we'll see how he does against those guys, because it was not doing anything for his development keeping him in Greenville. He got some innings under his belt, 20 innings, whatever. Time for him to be challenged at that level. I will say, I think people have made the comparison that I don't think Peyton Tolley last year was promoted to Portland until much later. And I think that the difference was, of course, we've talked about this a lot, that Peyton Tolley, his very first pro start, he was terrible. But then he dominated the rest of the time there. I don't know if the Red Sox were a little bit sort of scared off by how he had done in that first start. They wanted to see him do more. But with Eyanson, he's had no struggles. Again, he had his worst start this past week, and he still had 7 strikeouts in 3 2/3 innings. So, or 3 1/3 innings. So, I think that maybe they learned a little bit. Obviously, every pitcher is different, but maybe they learned a little bit from that, and we're like, okay, let's not mess around here, and let's get him facing the guys that he needs to face at the next level. So, Eyanson in Double A.
Just for reference, Peyton Tolley, 11 games, 10 starts, 49 2/3 innings in High A.
So quite a few more innings, like more than twice as many innings. And I think that I'm excited to see what he does against the studs, and more of these studs for other teams, and getting to face other. I think another thing that comes up a little bit sometimes with this is like, okay, let's see the guy face teams a second time and see how he does against those guys. Again, I think that the level that Eyanson showed, they couldn't keep him in High A for any longer than they did, and so we'll see how Eyanson does in Double A.
Yeah, and I did during his game, I said, I know it's only been 17 2/3 innings counting tonight, but this is absurd. Is there any Eyanson promotion talk, or is it too early? And I was told some combos for sure. And then I texted again. I said, of course, I opened my mouth and he walks his first batter ever. So I'm just bad at this. I just need to stop saying things.
Stop following this, and don't take up a different hobby. I'm just kidding. But yeah, so Eyanson. I don't know if you have anything to add on that.
Yeah, I feel bad. I kind of touched on this last week because the other 2 pitchers grouped in with him, Kyson Witherspoon and Marcus Phillips, are getting held to the same standard as him by a lot of the fan base. And it's like, Eyanson's different. Like, it's like you said, since he first showed up in spring training, people were like, this guy's just, he's on a different level than everyone else. So I need people to not pair them too much. Like, I get it. It was the whole power of friendship. And I remember there were people literally saying like, oh, they're going to wait to promote all 3 of them together. And it's like, no, everybody's got their different paths. You're not going to hold down one guy just because you want other people to catch up to them, or you're not going to throw someone into a spot that they shouldn't be. But yeah, I feel like every year I do this, and every year they always ask me to write something about like, oh, who could be this year's Roman Anthony? Who could be? And the first paragraph of the article every year is, hey, this doesn't usually happen. Like,
exactly.
There's usually not a prospect who goes nuts and becomes out of nowhere becomes one of the best prospects in baseball and flies through the system. And it just, for some reason, just keeps happening to the Red Sox. There was Roman Anthony. There was Kristian Campbell. There was Peyton Tolley. You could say that there was Yastinson Garcia. He started a year in Single A, not even considered a top 30 prospect in the system, and finished the year a top 100 prospect in baseball in Double A. Like that, like his situation doesn't happen often, and it keeps happening to the Red Sox. So I think next year I'm just going to have to take that paragraph out because I keep looking stupid every year. It's like he's not hitting 101. He's not hitting 100 like he was in the spring breakout game, but the velocity is severely up from what it was in college. And also, it's not surprising he's not hitting 100 because that was a situation where he knew, hey, I'm pitching for 1 inning. And now he's going out there and they're like, hey, you have 55 pitches. You have 65 pitches. So he's not going to empty the tank for a couple pitches and be like, look what I can do. That was very Stewart from Mad TV. Look what I can do.
Wow. Hunter with all the current references.
The classic early 2000s Mad TV reference. See, this is why I need you on here more. Last week when we were talking to
Derrik,
we were talking to Andrew Sopada, and I forget what I said, and they both looked at me like I was an idiot. And I was like, I'm 10 years older than both of you. Like, this sucks. You guys don't get this.
Yeah, sorry. I wish I wish you could phone me in just for those specific moments. I'm sure I could take
There
time out
was
for that, but anyway.
I went for a run earlier and I passed a car that had, I like that they still do this. They had like the spray paint where it was like senior 2026. Like they do
Yeah.
all that stuff. And I was like, yeah, it's cool that they still do that. But then it made me sad because I was like, 2026, that means I graduated high school 15 years ago. And I was like, that
Try
that feels
20,
bad.
try 21 for me, man. Jeez. Anyway.
But yeah, it's not surprising that he's emptying the tank with not hitting 100, but there's clear improvements on the fastball. There's clear improvements on the changeup. The slider is disgusting. The curveball looks good. Like there's nothing, like obviously the control's been fantastic. And it's been talked to death. You know, I've seen it a ton on social media. Coley brought it up on Section 10. Strong argument that a lot of those that all three of those walks should have been strikeouts. And I'll say it here again. You can't 100% trust minor league game day. Like I've been in the press box where it's literally just someone being like, oh, I wasn't paying attention. What was that pitch? And they'll be like, it was a ball. And then they'll just put that it was a ball.
Everyone's in the minor leagues, you know?
Exactly. Like these people probably aren't getting paid. I can tell you for a fact, the guy that does the scoreboard at Reading is just a guy who was a fan for like 40 years because I've had discussions with him, and then he just ended up doing it. It's him and his wife do it.
Nice.
Like I couldn't imagine they get paid. I think they just do it because they're Reading fans and it's cool to them.
Sure.
Which more power to them. That's not an insult to them. It's just like these aren't people doing this professionally. But like if you do go and watch, they were pretty borderline calls where it's like, that might have been a helmet tap. So like the command's been fantastic. The velocity's up. The pitches are like there's nothing about Anthony Eyanson that is lagging behind the rest. Like it's not one of those situations where it's like, oh, well, the power's there, but he strikes out too much, or, oh, he swings it too much, or he needs to work on his fielding, or like with him, it's like every single facet has been damn near perfect for Anthony Eyanson. And it's been 20 innings, but it's been 20 of the best innings we've seen in a really long time. It's incredible to think after we saw Peyton Tolley last year that the Red Sox would have a pitching prospect that will get fans more excited than Tolley did somehow. And it seemed well on their way with Anthony. And we saw Peyton Tolley go from high to making his major league. We're going to see, barring something bad, knock on wood, we're going to see Anthony Eyanson in AAA this year. Like it is not out of the realm of possibility. That is it is a very similar situation to Peyton Tolley, where in September we're seeing him pitch. Now, the thing that might hold them back is the Red Sox suck. No reason to put Anthony Eyanson to start pitching Anthony Eyanson in September if it doesn't mean anything. So that might be a situation where they decide it's not necessary. But
because you make a good point, because somebody could make the counter argument, maybe like, well, if they're out of it, then why not? But like the truth is that you don't. They called up Peyton Tolley last year because they needed him, like because he was necessary, and they felt like this guy's going to help push us get into the playoffs, and he did. He was good in some spurts. It wasn't great in some others. He did pitch in the playoffs, but I think that a guy like, and so they needed him. Like Eyanson, if he's, let's say, just like, and again, we're a long ways off from this. Like theoretically, he is just as good in Portland as he was in Greenville. Then they're not going to keep him. Like they know. Like I think we talked about this before, that like they know from a modeling standpoint what pitches are how a pitch, like velocity wise, shape wise, like all this stuff, how it's going to play in the big leagues. That's how Tolley ends up in the big leagues as quick as he was, because his fastball, they know, like, okay, this is a big league fastball. So with Eyanson, it could be the same thing. And it's the way it is with all these guys, is that all these pitchers, if they are able to, this is where I give the Red Sox a lot of credit, because they're very good at this. They're very good at, like, this guy has these traits on these pitches and can have this movement. And if he's facing big league hitters, we think based off of our models and based off of all this stuff, that he's going to be successful, against big league hitters with this stuff. They're going to be able to know, like, with so what moving Eyanson up already tells me that they feel like he's probably already close to that, and they want to see how he but that's not the end all be all, right? Because it's got to be like you have to see how a guy handles adversity. How does he deal with his teammates? How does he take coaching? Like all this, like all that stuff has to play a factor. It's not just, it shouldn't just be like this guy's got these traits and these abilities, so he's going to be we're going to put him in the big leagues. I think they obviously feel like Eyanson is advanced enough that they could put him in Double-A now. So what I think you could see is, yes, if he does the same thing, he gets up to the Woo Sox. But the thing is that if they're out of it and they're not, the Red Sox are still in last place in September, is it worth it to burn a 40-man roster spot on Anthony Eyanson and start number one, and number two, start his big league service for a team that's not good? Like, make him go out, like keep him in Worcester the whole rest of the year, and then make him or whenever there's baseball next, make him earn that spot in the big leagues and earn that 40-man spot. Yeah, I agree with that. But we're getting ahead of ourselves because he's got to do what he did in high.
Very true.
Again,
he's yet to pitch a Double-A inning,
and yeah,
we're arguing whether or not he'll.
I'm just speaking hypothetically, about the situation, about the fact that, like, pitching wise, just from purely what they do on the mound, they know if the guy's got big league level stuff. So anyway, and then I just want to touch a little bit on what you were talking about, the other guys, about Witherspoon and Phillips, who, yeah, like numbers wise, Phillips has been a little bit better than Eyanson, but both guys have struggled in their first
Witherspoon.
Witherspoon and Phillips. Like Phillips has been a little bit better. But I think that it's so early. Like,
yes.
Don't hold those guys to the same, and development is not linear, and these guys are gonna, some guys struggle at the start of their professional careers, and then they figure it out over time. They invested high draft picks in both of these guys. And yeah, not everybody's going to be a big leaguer. Not every first round pick is going to pan out. The Red Sox have drafted really well in recent years, and a lot of these first round picks have either been in the big leagues or, Mikey Romero is really close to the big leagues. And we see, Braden Montgomery did get called up, or he's getting called up by the White Sox, right? So like we and Kyle Teal, we've already seen in the big leagues, and Meyer, Anthony, like all these guys. So not every one of these first round picks is always going to work out. For every I'll throw some names out there. For every Roman Anthony or Marcelo Meyer, there's Colburn Vidic and Jason Place, and these are old names going way back. Rick Asadorian, like these guys don't always pan out. So, but I'm not saying that's the case with Kyson Witherspoon or Marcus Phillips. These guys, it's very early. They have things to work on. They're both very talented. We talked to Marcus Phillips. We know how driven he is. Don't hold those guys. Eyanson is on a different level, and he's doing what he's doing. And we'll see what happens with these guys. All of these guys, they're learning. Okay, let's talk about a couple other things quick. Just really quickly, another promotion. Maybe you mentioned it, I'm not sure, but Calvin Bickerstaff was promoted. That was from Andrew Parker, was the one that originally reported that. He was Calvin Bickerstaff was an undrafted free agent who the Red Sox have now turned into a guy going to Double-A, which is great. So on the year in Greenville, he had 17 strikeouts with just 5 walks in 18 innings and a 2.50 ERA. So he did pitch this week. He gave up 2 runs on 5 hits in 3 innings in his Portland debut. He did have 3 strikeouts and 1 walk. So Calvin Bickerstaff was another guy that got promoted over the course of the last week. And then the only other piece of news I wanted to talk about was, again, sort of unfortunate news about Juan Valera, who I think it was on Tuesday. Alex Spear of the Boston Globe reported, another friend of the show, reported that he's getting a second opinion on his elbow from an external source, external opinion. That is not really the news we wanted to hear. There's been no word yet on what happened with that appraisal of his elbow, if that has happened yet. Maybe it's going to happen this week. And best we can hope for is just that he's just going to rest, and that surgery is off the table. But the fact that he has to have a second opinion is not really the best news. Maybe it could be like a situation like Tariq Skubal, where he just needs like a cleanup or something. But and he'd have to miss time. He maybe wouldn't even pitch again the rest of this year if that was the case. But it's a bummer. But this number one. This is the deal with pitchers, and I think we talked about it the last time I was on, which is just like, yeah, like Valera's hurt, and Kaisa Witherspoon has struggled, and Marcus Phillips hasn't pitched great necessarily, and a few other guys haven't really struggled. But the Red Sox still have this embarrassment of riches in terms of their pitching pipeline, and they can withstand. It's not like in the past where if a guy at the level of Juan Valera gets hurt, you're like kind of like your whole system is screwed. So, fingers crossed, toes crossed. Hope everything's okay with him.
Yeah, they have too many starters in the lower level, so it's funny. I'm actually looking at the Sox prospects, like their team roster page, because I was making sure there was no other promotions, and it's like every team has like 6 rotation guys and then multiple piggyback guys. And currently the Worcester rotation is Isaac Coffey and Michael Sansone, and then they have 2 piggybacks, Jack Anderson and Eduardo Rivera. Right. So AAA could use some pitching help right now.
And we didn't talk about this at all, that Alec Gamboa was promoted to the big leagues today.
Okay, I see that. I think that's what it must have been. I was like, I could have swore there was another one.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, I didn't really think about big league promotions, but yeah, Alec Gamboa, a left-handed pitcher, promoted. I think he had something of an assignment clause in his contract, and the Red Sox decided to opt to add him to the roster. There was some moves there. Danny Colom, I think it was, went on the IL.
Yep.
Pat Sandoval, who may or may not actually exist, went to the 60-day IL. I dropped my AirPod case. And Tommy Canely is staying in the organization. He decided not to stick. He decided to stick around in Worcester. He really loves the restaurants there, apparently. Maybe I do feel it. Maybe they told him like, "Hey, you'll be in the big league soon at some point here." That could be it, because Tommy Canely doesn't really need to pitch. I feel like he's made enough money in his life that he doesn't need to pitch in Worcester if he doesn't want to. But yeah. So that was it on the sort of news items, other than obviously we've talked about Portland. So I think you're going to cover the other levels with Derrik when he comes on. But I wanted to talk about this article that I wrote. I don't write a lot for Beyond the Monster. Chris and Ed are, they kind of always leave the door open for me if I want to write something that I can. I've only written maybe a couple articles in the last year, but after the firings that happened, I had this thought that, and usually what I try to do is I try to write from a perspective of just like stuff maybe I haven't seen other people say or write. And this is going to tie into the minor leagues for sure, but it's a bigger picture about the Red Sox organization and the state of things. And the crux of the article, which again you can find it on Beyond the Monster. The name of the article that I wrote is Craig Breslow, the Red Sox and the Dangers of Consolidated Baseball Power. And the whole idea behind it is that the Red Sox have decided after the firings of Alex Cora and 6 members of the big league coaching staff that they've gone all in on Craig Breslow and his system. The Red Sox front office, the Red Sox ownership group has completely entrusted Craig Breslow with the future of this team. And based off of all available evidence, if you care about the Red Sox, you should probably be a little bit concerned about this. Because of these aren't, I'm not breaking news here about, obviously Breslow has done good things. He traded for Garrett Crochet. He, signed Roman Anthony to this extension. There have been good moves. I think so far the Wilson Contreras move is paying off. And, I know that Elmer Rodriguez is in the big leagues, but that trade probably work out for both teams, getting Carlos Narvaez back in that trade. I'm not saying every move that Craig Breslow has made is bad, but you think about all of the other things that didn't go so well. And there's not a lot in terms of track record. The Red Sox, when I wrote the article, when I published it when it was published on Saturday, the Red Sox franchise under Craig Breslow has a 183 and 173 record with 1 postseason victory. And the Red Sox are this storied team with this great history, and they have all these resources and stuff. And they've decided, the Red Sox ownership group has decided that Craig Breslow is the guy that we're going to entrust everything with. He wanted to fire Alex Cora, so we let him fire Alex Cora. He wanted to fire all these coaches. We let him fire all these guys. It's his team. It's his system. It's all on him. And this is happening at a time in which Breslow, I believe, if he has the same contract that his predecessors had was probably like a 5-year contract. So we're about midway through this contract that he has. And I think about it in terms of Chaim Bloom, his immediate predecessor. Well, Chaim Bloom in 2023 was in, I guess it would have been the fourth year of the 5 years of his contract. And there were reports after he was fired that in 2023, this was in Mass Live, it wasn't like 100% corroborated, this report, but it was out there, that Chaim Bloom was told by ownership, either you make the playoffs this year or you're getting fired. In some way, shape, or form. That was out there, that he was told that. Well, at the 2023 trade deadline, the Red Sox didn't do anything. What was it? They got what's his name? Urias from
was it Luis or Ramon?
Luis
I never
Urias.
remember.
Yeah, it wasn't Ramon. It was the other Urias. They got him. That was it. There was no other moves. It was nothing else that happened. He stood pat at the deadline. Now, I'm not saying that Chaim Bloom should have done nothing, or that was the right thing, just doing nothing. But he stuck to his guns. He had this long-term view of how the team was going to work and how the team was going to function, and that was going to be building through the farm system and supplementing around a younger core. Well, that younger core obviously is what we see with the team now. But in 2023, Chaim Bloom was maybe this wasn't true that he was told that he either made the playoffs or he was going to get fired. But either way, he was on the hot seat because the team had missed the playoffs in 2022 when they were over the luxury tax that year, and then in 2023 it wasn't really working out. So he could have traded Roman Anthony and Marcelo Meyer and Kyle Teal and all of these guys that were coming up through the system and looking like they were going to be part of this next great Red Sox team to save his own job. He didn't do that. And he stuck to his guns, and he got fired anyway. Well, the Red Sox, again, they've empowered Craig Breslow to be in charge of this team, and he's going to be on the same track as Chaim Bloom. And we've seen how Breslow has acted. Well, the Red Sox farm system right now is in a much different position than it was in 2023. But let's say a year from now, some of these guys like Franklin Arias continues to go up, and maybe Kyson Witherspoon and Marcus Phillips figure it out, and Eyanson is banging down the door of the big leagues, and there's guys that they draft this year and possibly next year too. Oh, am I still here? I think I might have had a little bit of an internet glitch.
Yeah, you're here.
Let's say that let's say that they're in this position. Well, and let's say the Red Sox are in the same situation where they're in the basement, or they're not doing great. Do you trust that Craig Breslow is just going to ride it out and keep a long-term view? No, he might do something really reckless to try to save his job. And I made this analogy in my the article that I wrote about from a different sport. And I'm sure there's examples of this in baseball too, but this was just the first one that came to mind, which was a different sport. In basketball, 2018, the Detroit Pistons at the time had Stan Van Gundy as both their head coach and general manager, which okay. That's enough of a bad decision as it was. The team wasn't very good. He could probably see the handwriting on the wall that he was going to get fired. At the trade deadline that year, he trades Tobias Harris, who at the time was a really good young player, and a first-round pick, and I believe another pick, like a second-round pick, and took back Blake Griffin in his terrible contract and his terrible knees. Now, Blake Griffin was really good the next year, but then after that, he became the bench guy that he was with the Celtics.
Big Blake Griffin fan.
I love Blake Griffin, but I'm
huge
just saying,
Blake Griffin fan. He's too good at everything though, and it kind of annoys me. Don't be that funny. Don't be that good looking. Don't be that good at basketball. Relax.
But the point that I was making was that Stan Van Gundy makes this trade that was this he did this to save his job. And guess what? 4 months after he made the trade, he got fired. And I know it wasn't the only reason why the Pistons were bad until last year, but it took them years to recover from that. And but the thing is you had a guy that was in that position who, what does he care? He's going to get fired anyway. I might as well do what I can to save my job. Who cares about the team? The Red Sox were lucky with Chaim Bloom that they had somebody who kept the long view, even though he felt like his job was being endangered. We just saw Craig Breslow pull this red wedding move Do you think that he's just going to stand pat on the prospects and stuff at next year's trade deadline if he thinks he's going to get fired? No, and it could set the franchise back for years. But what does he care? Because he's probably going to get fired anyway, and the ownership group has given him all this power. So and it ties back to the minor leagues again, because like you look at how like Breslow has treated people, and there's been all these reports and things about how Red Sox baseball development staffers have been shunted to the side, fired. Scouts have been gotten rid of. I made a tweet the other day talking about Nelson Paulino, who was the Salem Ridgeax hitting coach, who has been promoted to interim hitting coach of the Red Sox, and he has been with the Red Sox organization since 1997, I think, like almost 30 years with the team. And I tweeted and said, Craig Breslow has deservedly taken a lot of flack for how he's treated longtime baseball ops employees, but it's great to see Nelson Paulino get this opportunity after 3 decades in the organization. Now, likes are private, so I'm not going to divulge who did this, but multiple members of the Red Sox organization, current members of the organization, liked that tweet. So I that tells you something about the vibe. I'm glad to hear about how the vibes were high with Portland over this past weekend, but.
Now that was also mostly the players that I talked to, though. It's not like it's not like I was having conversations with all the coaches. I'm sure they are in a much different boat. You know, you're seeing a lot of people get fired, and
I agree, and I've said this before, and I said this in the article that yes, like there were problems at the big league level. Maybe Alex Cora wasn't the right manager for this team anymore. Maybe the coaches were not doing things in the right direction. They were not on the same page with the front office. And I think that, I'm not saying that everybody deserves a job for life, but just the way that this whole thing was handled and the fact that they went through the whole offseason and spring training and the first month of the season, and then they did this, which was incredibly disruptive to not just the big league team, but all of the minor league levels, all of these guys who, they've been working with players all along, getting shifted and moved around because the head of baseball operations wanted to do this like power play. And he didn't, I don't really think he cared that much about the downstream effect on the rest of the organization. So I just think you see somebody in this position. He has been given complete power over the whole baseball operation. He doesn't have to compete with Alex Cora for it anymore. The track record is mixed at best. And hey, you know what? If they win the World Series sometime in the next year, 2 years, then maybe it's all worth it. But the track record's not there with Breslow. And I'm not I don't hate the idea of trading prospects to make the big league team better, but I think that there's a possibility that the recipe is there, that there could be some things that happen over the course of the next year plus that down the line, especially Red Sox fans, may really come to regret and dislike, and especially if Breslow, if the team isn't good and Breslow gets fired anyway. So that was the whole
fans
point.
Already dislike him.
No,
I do know
what it's not necessarily about him. It's just about like the moves themselves. Yeah. Like I think we're going to see I think there's a good chance we could see more big changes that could affect guys that, might go other places, and like young players that we might see them go other places and do really well. And how do we know that the return is going to be any good? So
cough, Kyle Harrison, cough.
Yeah.
It's very early, but that has looked bad. If he was in the system for years and they flipped him for Caleb, like it doesn't help that Caleb Durbin's been bad. And it doesn't help that he was the big part of the Rafael Devers trade. Like it all compiles, and obviously Devers has been bad. But I did not know you wrote an article until you mentioned it before the show. I had not been as active on Twitter this week because I was driving back and forth and doing all that stuff. But so I did like the quick read through, and then so you mentioned it in the article, and then you also talked about it was like the small circle of Craig Breslow and the distrust, and you mentioned how like people within the organization liked the tweet, and I talked to a couple people in the organization, and they all have the same sentiment of we don't get told things anymore. Like I used to get a rundown of like these 3 people are going to high A, these 2 people are going back to single A, this guy's dealing with an injury. This guy might be going on the IL. This guy's doing that. I don't get those anymore. And I've talked to those people, and it's not because they don't want to give them to me. It's because they don't get them anymore.
Wow.
Like there are
really
scouts that I will ask a question and they're like, no, have you heard anything about it? Like these people aren't hearing things anymore. And it's
crazy.
And it's different branches of the organization. It's not like it's just like, oh, it's DSL scout. It's like, no, it's a guy who does this and a guy who does that and a guy who has this job in the front office and a guy who is a coach here and a guy who does this here. And like, it's not like it's just one, it's all different branches of the organization are like, hey, we haven't heard anything. And like you said, if 2027, the Red Sox are the World Series winners, it's like, all right, you know what? The dude had a vision and he was terrible about describing it and getting everybody to buy in, but it worked. But it's just like the morale in the organization is so bad. And I can't speak for what it was in the past because I've never had the access I have. So like, I don't really know what it was like under Heimblum. I know that people would get frustrated with his indecisiveness and everything, but everybody always talks about how good of a communicator he was. And I forget who had it, but someone said it might've just been like Jared Carabas. It might've been Chris Cotillo. It was someone on Twitter mentioned how they had talked to multiple people within the organization who said they miss Heimblum because they miss his availability. They miss how open he was about everything. He was very transparent. It was just, the dude was the most indecisive person in the world, and it led to a lot of issues. And, but yeah, it's just, I've been pretty loud about not being the biggest Craig Breslow fan, but it feels like a lot of people aren't Craig Breslow fans, and it's people that should be. It's people that you would hope would be Craig Breslow fans.
Yeah,
so it's just like, I get wanting to have a small circle, but it's like when the circle's too small, you don't have anybody to push back on things. You don't have anybody to tell you, hey, this might not be a good idea. You don't have anybody to argue with you, because it might even be something that you're not sure of, and you talk yourself into it. And it's like, if I'm doing that to myself and then I go to you and you're like, hey, that's really stupid, and here's why, I could be like, wow, you're right. I was thinking that, but I was too scared and I convinced myself it was a good idea. Like you need people to give you 10 different angles of things, like in such a high position. It makes me nervous where the organization's going to go if he continues to do this small circle thing. And then you're firing, like you said, who's to say that the firings weren't the right move? Like, changes do need to be made. Obviously mentioned before, there were the Wilson Contreras comments, take them how you want them. There was also the comments, though, about the Marcelo Meyer stuff, and that stuff seemed to be handled very quickly. I think a lot of people rightly guessed that was overblown and kind of misconstrued. But it's like, does he fire more people in 2 months when he feels like his job's on the line again? Does he fire more people in the off season when he feels like they don't align with him perfectly? Like, where does it end? And maybe he has this master plan and he's getting more flack than he deserves. Who knows? But it's been a mess so far, and it doesn't help that the Red Sox have the third worst record in baseball.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of great people that the Red Sox have lost from the org in the last couple of years. And it goes back to this like audit from a couple of years ago that, it feels like the Red Sox have a lot of the same issues that they had before that audit. And I think that if there's a lot of talented people, and if they feel like they're not in the loop, or they're getting sidelined, or their opinions aren't being valued, then they'll leave and go somewhere else. And the word gets around. And I think that the Red Sox have always been able to, going back to, the Theo Epstein era, they always were able to get really talented people to come and work for the Red Sox. And, if you don't communicate, you don't value, like, this is not specific to baseball. This is just the world in general. Like, if you work someplace and you don't feel like you're valued, you don't feel like you're paid well, you don't feel like you're communicated to effectively, and if you're talented, you're going to leave and go someplace else. I've seen it happen a million times in the corporate world. And I think that, It's happened to me. I've left jobs because of that. So I think that yeah, it's a slippery slope right now. The Red Sox over again the next 12 to 18 months, like they will be really this is a really critical time for a lot of reasons. Obviously, and it kicked off with this firing of Cora and this like like I said, this consolidation of power that Breslow now has. And they're gonna sink or swim based off of what he wants to do and how he treats people and how he communicates. And the Red Sox have, I think, prided themselves significantly on the minor league infrastructure. Like there was somebody, I can't remember which article it was, that talked about how after Paul Taboni left, like Breslow has taken like more of a direct role in terms of player development stuff. And it was stuff that Taboni had done before. Now he's just doing a lot of that stuff himself on top of being the chief baseball officer and running the roster. That's not good. Like, that's not a good thing. It goes back to the fact that he has not hired a GM. And it seems that they were going to hire Taboni. It was going to be him. And then he got the Nats job and they were just like, okay, well, we're not going to hire anybody now. Again, I think that Breslow would view someone as a GM as a threat to his position. I think if we're being really honest about why Craig Breslow has never had a GM, he has Brian O'Halloran in the front office, who was the GM under Chaim Bloom. He probably feels like that's good enough. And and I mentioned their names. I mentioned Raquel Ferreira and Eddie Romero and Brian O'Halloran. These are three people that have been with the Red Sox for decades that are still part of the organization. But I don't know if they're if any of them are in the inner circle. And again, those are really talented people that I believe all three of them have either been a GM in the big leagues or interviewed for top baseball operations, like GM roles. I know Raquel Ferreira has, I'm pretty sure Eddie Romero has too. And they're very talented people. And, that would be, they would be significant losses. And I know, and yeah, Taboni was a very significant loss. And it was great for him that he got the opportunity to run the Nats. He's absolutely deserved it. But like, it's brain drain. And, and there's other people left. Justin Willard left. And, there's a few people that are still there. I know Mike Groupman is still there. And there are good names, but like, yeah. So it's going to be a really interesting stretch here. And it doesn't leave you feeling with the best feeling with the way that things have played out.
There's something I've seen on social media a lot, and I'm curious your view on it. I'm gonna change the question a little bit, because it's basically just been the way I've seen it is people saying, like, would you rather the Red Sox just bottom out and sell at the trade deadline, or fight for, like, finish the year fighting for a playoff spot? Who knows if they make it, but like fighting for a playoff spot. I'm going to change a little bit. Would you rather see the Red Sox get to slightly over 500, make the playoffs? We won't say win the World Series, because obviously you're going to vote for that, but they make the playoffs. And it's like, all right, we're starting to see the Craig Breslow vision, and we go into 2027 with maybe a little bit of hope that the Craig Breslow vision is going to work? Or would you rather see the Red Sox bottom out, Breslow's gone before the trade deadline, they sell, and they start next year with a new GM, a new chief baseball operator, whatever, and they start fresh. They get rid of some of the veteran guys who seem to be not pulling their weight at the moment, and they just kind of go, hey, we're going to go with the young core, and we're going to bring in more young prospects, and we're going to just start over.
Yeah. It's a good question. I guess it might surprise you. I guess I would kind of rather that they just tread water and see if they can get in the playoffs. And, even if it's like another just one round and out, like, I would rather that, because that would mean that they play a lot better baseball between now and the end of the year. I don't know. Like, there are some pieces that they could trade. Like, you could trade Sonny Gray if he comes back and is healthy. I'm sure they could get something for him. I feel like, a year left on his contract. I think they could possibly get a bit for Aroldis Chapman.
I think they could get a lot for Aroldis Chapman.
Considering he is signed through next year. There's just not a lot of other, like, there's other bullpen guys I guess they could sell off, but they could
Whitlock, Duran, maybe.
I don't. Yeah, Duran's.
You're not going to get anything for Yoshida. You're not going to get anything for Story. Like,
I would rather. Whitlock is somebody I wouldn't want to trade personally, just for a lot of different reasons. But, Yeah, because you've invested a lot in these guys that are like younger or they're on longer term contracts. So I guess I'd ride it out and see what you can, like, if they're really bad, then yeah, like trade guys that are like, especially like Sonny Gray, like that's an easy one to trade.
Yeah.
Like you have enough pitching depth already. If guys are healthy, like you could flip him and get something back. Other than that, I would ride it out, hope that you get in the playoffs. And because the other scenario that you said, like we're saying it's either or, like I feel like Breslow, I'm not saying I think he should get fired necessarily, like because actually it's after everything I just said, like I'm not quite there yet, because I will go back to this. He has done some good things, but I think that I do think that he's going to be here for sure probably through the trade deadline next year, and then that's really when they'll evaluate. But again, there's so many different factors that play into that, including the labor stuff, and we don't really know what's going to happen with that.
Yeah.
But
I tried to word it that way because the way I had been seeing it was basically just like, would you rather them suck or like fight for a playoff spot? But it was never like a full like, oh, bottom out thing and get rid of everybody. Just because to me, if it's suck and like add pieces, or I'm always going to try to fight for the playoffs. Like you still have to watch the games, man. I want to enjoy the baseball season. I want to, like it would be cool to add new pieces and stuff, but it's like, it's not fun to watch a team suck for 162 games. I want to be watching games in September and excited that they might make the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, this has been, for the most part, it's been really fun to talk about. It was fun to talk about the first part of it. So I do have to go, but I think that Derek will be on here shortly.
We're gonna pause it,
talk about the rest. And so so it's been fun to catch up with you. I don't know the next time I'll be on. Hopefully I know we talked before about at least one interview guest potentially, and hopefully I'll be on again soon. But yeah, this was fun, Hunter. Thanks.
Thank you. We're gonna pause and then we'll be back we'll be back immediately, I guess. With me
in real time. It'll be a little bit, but
thank you very much for hopping on for the first hour. Always good to talk to you. All right, we're back. No time has passed. 0 time. I definitely wasn't sitting there watching the Red Sox game for 15 minutes. It like we said, zero time wasted. We are right back into it.
Yes, definitely.
And Derek's here now.
Yes, I am here.
Jake is going. Derek is here. This is
how
we have to do the episodes now because Derek just bullies Jake. So we have to now do Jake hangs out for a little bit and then Derek hangs out because if they're together, Derek's just going to rip on him for being old.
That is not true. I actually had a final from 6 to 8 p.m. After having one from 8 to 10 a.m. this morning. I
said it to you earlier. There's a lot of stuff I miss about college.
That's not one of them.
Finals is not one of them. The stress so that was 2015.
Yeah.
And my senior year of college is when I got a smartphone. I was very late to the game on smartphones. I had the same phone from 8th grade until what is that? Junior year of college. That phone was on like its last leg. I was so scared. Like literally, if I moved to the phone, I had to, when I went to bed, I would put the phone on the bedpost and I would have it flipped open so it was as loud as possible. And if it like got knocked off, that phone was breaking, and I just absolutely terrified that I was going to oversleep exams to the point that then I wouldn't sleep because I would be studying and then it's like 4 a.m. and it's like, oh, the exam's at 7 and then I can't sleep because I'm nervous. Terrible experience. Terrible experience.
Well, like
so sleeping through the test.
This is good advice on what not to do. So I stayed up literally all night last night because of my 8 a.m. exam, because I had nothing between my 8 o'clock exam and my 6 p.m. exam. Literally nothing. And this, kids, is why if you're not a morning person, try not to pick 8 o'clock classes. I legitimately missed almost half my 8 o'clock classes this semester.
Yeah.
The fact I wasn't withdrawn from the class is like a miracle.
Get there.
I mean,
get there.
it's funny because like I'm gonna pass the class like no issues, right? No issues. I'm gonna pass the class, but I legitimately missed 16 classes over the course of the semester. That's more than one class per week for a class that meets 3 times a week. Yeah, don't do that if you're a college student. Please don't do that. But I will just throw in the caveat: I am not a morning person at all. Absolutely not.
I took one 8 a.m. class my sophomore year, and I was like, all right, never.
I didn't have a choice, unfortunately. Didn't have a choice, and the senioritis started kicking in. To be fair, the senioritis started kicking in back when I was in high school. It's just is really kicking in now. It is what I will say though. It's one of those things where I'm like, because out of like the times I missed that class this year, it was literally because I overslept my alarms, and I'm like, well, I can't oversleep them if I just don't sleep. Yeah, so guess I'm not sleeping. And then I also just a little fun one for the video people. I don't know if it actually really show up well, but I left a little treat in one of the classrooms. I stacked like desks and chairs on top of each other.
Okay. Yep.
So there's 2 tables pushed together with the chairs on like the far sides of the tables. And then on top of those 2 tables is like another table with the 2 chairs. And then on top of that is like one of like the sit alone like desk that has like the desk that like rotate, like pulls in and out.
Made yourself a super desk.
And literally, I literally just left that in one of the classrooms. Well, I did that at like 3 a.m. because I couldn't sleep. And
yeah.
Hey, I'm whoever had to fix that. I'm sorry, but hey, oh well.
Yeah, you do dumb things when you're a senior.
That is true.
I set my schedule up very well so that my second semester of senior year, one of my classes, I needed like 3 less credits than normal. So I had to take like 3 4-credit classes and then a 1 1-credit class. So my 1-credit class was bowling, and it was twice a week, and it was like a 10-minute drive, and my roommate took the class with me, so he drove, and there was a bar, and the teacher said you were allowed to drink. So twice a week, one of my classes was just me having way too much to drink at 2 p.m. on a Monday and a Wednesday while I bowled for an hour and a half. It was phenomenal.
Yeah, I will. So I should have been like that, but then I bumped my graduation up a year. So had I not bumped my graduation up a year, I probably would have been at the bare minimum 12 credits my senior year for both semesters, and would have just. I would have. Well, my senior year of high school, I only had 2 classes. So my high school in Florida, we started at 9:10, and I was done at 11 o'clock every day.
That's awesome.
Lunch wasn't until basically noon. So I was out like an hour before lunch.
Yeah. I messed up. It was Tuesday, Thursday was bowling because I set my schedule up my that second semester where I didn't have any Friday, Monday class.
Oh, that's elite.
I had a 4-day weekend every week.
See, I haven't had any Friday classes in a while. I have 1 Monday class, but it was 5 to 6:15. So like I essentially
have Monday off. Yeah.
Yeah, essentially. But yeah, it was one of those things where also no classes on Fridays allowed me to go to Worcester multiple times this year.
There you go.
That's an elite thing. I will also be back in Worcester this week. I don't know if I'll be there on Friday, just for the sake of my college graduation's the day after. But I will definitely be there Wednesday this week.
We didn't really touch on this when we were talking about Portland, but I do. Yeah. I think I have no. I haven't been told anything or anything, but I think you're going to see Hayden Mullins there soon.
Yeah. His numbers, if you're box score watching, they're not going to look great just for the fact he had that one
he had that miserable first outing. Yeah,
unfair.
But the walks have been down, the strikeouts are up, and we talked about it when we were paused for the 0 seconds that we were paused. And I talked about this with Jake too. I was looking at like Sox prospects, and every rotation at every level. It's like there's 5, 6, 7 starters and then like 4 piggyback guys. And then Portland, or for Worcester, it's Isaac Coffey and Michael Sansone in the rotation, and then Jack Anderson and Eduardo Rivera piggybacking, because they're depleted because the Red Sox are taking all of their pitchers because the Red Sox are dying apparently.
And Uberstein's hurt as well.
Yeah, and Uberstein's
also doesn't
hurt,
help.
And TJ Sycamore hurt, and it's like they're
and like Seth
need
Martinez
pitching.
is in the bullpen, even though like he maybe could like go a couple innings. Like, you know, that's a guy like he's pitched I think that he's pitched 23 innings and 10 appearances. So like if they need him to go 2 or 3, they can, but you're not going to get more than that out of him.
Yeah.
So
How
like,
is this game still going on? It is downpouring. Peyton Toley's through 5 innings. I can't tell if he's fired up or if he's yelling at the ump to okay, now they're laughing. He's got to be saying, why is this game not stopping? This is insane.
well,
Downpour. I just want the Red Sox to win a game. Just end it.
hey, although I will just say, just for the chaos thing of the Red Sox, it would be so funny if Trevor Story takes starts taking like multiple off days a week and then they just start winning games. Just for the chaos of the fan base. It would be so funny.
I don't even know if that would create more chaos. I don't think that.
It would
in the fan base right now.
No, it would create chaos based on the fact that everyone would be like, "See, I told you so."
Yeah.
Why are we playing Story? Everyone and their grandpas is like, "Well, why is he playing?" And it's like, because they're paying him like a lot of money. And it's like, that's not a good excuse. Pablo Sandoval got paid a lot of money and they got rid of him. Rusney Castillo got paid a lot of money and they never
Front
played him.
offices, when they can help it, don't like to look stupid though.
True, but
they'd almost rather put out a slightly worse product than admit that they were wrong about something.
Although I will say, if they end up kind of sucking this year and they like win the draft lottery, maybe they won't look that stupid.
Fair.
I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. I'm just saying. Hey, who was it that the Dallas Mavericks looked like idiots for trading Luka and then they get Cooper Flag.
Well, that was rigged.
The point still stands. They don't look at that.
The NBA draft is absurdly rigged, which is why they're trying to figure out the whole tanking issue, which isn't really an issue, but they think it's an issue, but it's not. But I'm a Pelicans fan. I will tell you right now, they 100% rigged the draft for the Pelicans to get Anthony Davis, because the Pelicans were at the time owned by the NBA because I forget why their owner, did he die or did he sell just like back to the NBA? I forget what happened, but they technically didn't have an owner, and they were trying to convince the Bensons, who own the Saints, to buy the Pelicans. And they definitely said, hey, we will give you Anthony Davis, because all of a sudden the Bensons were like, sure. And then 3 days later, they were like, hey, Pelicans win the draft lottery. Oh, what a shock. There was Patrick Ewing with the Knicks all those years ago. Cooper Flag.
Oh, that's enormous. Although I will say, so the NHL has moved to doing the draft lottery like live. Like they do it in the NHL Network studio, and they do it live on television.
Well, the NBA draft is live.
But the lottery's not. It's not. No, they do the ping pong balls in the back room.
Oh, yeah, okay. I see what you're saying.
They do the ping pong balls live on TV.
Well, they used to do the envelopes live. And that was that was the Patrick Ewing thing. Is the theory is that they froze the envelope so that he knew what one to grab. And then
they nicked the corner when they put it in.
Yeah.
And then when David Stern grabbed that one and another one, he just conveniently dropped the next one. Oh, no, can't pick that one yet.
Conspiracy theory that you'll never convince me isn't real.
You know what? Here's a good reason for why this BS, because in NBA 2K, I was playing like historical franchise mode, and Patrick Ewing only grew to be like an 85 overall. So like,
I think that's a cool feature that they did, where it's like you can play in the 80s or the 2000s, or because it's like, hey, sometimes I want to play where I'm.
It's great until
Bugsy Bogues on my team.
See, it's great until you get to the point where you just start drafting all the good players, and then your team has too many good players, and it's not fair.
I've never done all of that, but yeah, I could see how that'd be an
issue.
I know that guy's good. So
I literally did one where I went from the 83 season, so it's the year It's like the year leading into the MJ draft and Olajuwon and Barkley and whatnot. The Barkley's on the end, but I found like draft classes that are like user created that have all the players in them all the way through like the 2031 season. And literally, I got to like the Wemby draft, and I'm like, I will mortgage everything for Wemby. Like, why wouldn't I? And it's funny because I had like on my team, I had like Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, and I had like Steph Curry and this guy and that. Like literally, I had Giannis and I had Jokic, and it's like, do I need Wemby? No, but like, why not? I got to like the current like upcoming draft class of like Darren Peterson, AJ DeBansa, Cam Boozer, and I'm like, screw it, I'll take all three of them. I literally got to the point where I had so many first round picks, I could essentially just get whatever picks I wanted. So at that point, I'm like, okay, I think it's time to go do something else. It's like the MLB The Show version of just like, yeah, we have Franklin Arias and Anthony Eyanson and Peyton Tolley and Roman Anthony and Marcel. Oh wait, that's the Red Sox. The only way to make it better is if they had guys like, I don't know, like I mentioned him last week or maybe the week before, but like Kevin McGonigal, for example. That guy is like, love him. But besides the point. Also, funnily enough, I will just mention the Red Sox. So the Red Sox game goes into a rain delay, but Peyton Tolley threw 7 innings. Shout out.
No earned runs.
That is also true. Shout out because that helps my fantasy team right now. Because my fantasy team is like almost all young starting pitchers. It's like Tolley, Bubba Chandler, Trey Savage, Chase Burns, Mizorowski, Rhett Lauder, Kyle Harrison, Jake Bennett. And then it's like Drew Rasmussen, Sean Burke, and then Cole Reagans. That's all my starting pitchers. It's just almost every young pitcher in the league almost. Just hogging them all. Sorry.
But yeah, it looks like the Red Sox might actually win a game, so that's fun.
That is true.
Rain delay, so
but I think the reason I feel like the reason we're also here is because like we do kind of have to talk about Worcester, but like Worcester's been, from a prospect point of view,
it's like we said with the pitching, they're just gutted right now.
Well, it's the thing is too, it's like we're like, yes, we're the minor league show. We don't focus just on prospects, but like it's kind of hard to talk about a AAA team where it's literally all big league depth because all the damn prospects are in the big leagues.
Yeah, like not to crap on any of these guys, but it's like 31-year-old Mickey Gasper, 32-year-old Jason DeLay, 28-year-old Braden Ward, 29-year-old Nate Eaton, 27-year-old Nick Sogard, who's played in the majors a ton. Anthony Siegler's in his mid-20s. He's played in the majors. Like, yeah, it's we want to still touch on these guys, but it's like
it's not as fun when you got like Peyton Tolley going out there throwing 7 innings with no earned runs in the big.
And Marcelo Myers driving in runs, and Roman Anthony's getting hurt because of course he is, because we're not allowed to have fun things. But
yeah, apparently. Just can we just real quick? Is there the Red Sox legitimately might have like an all-star level rotation in pitching staff on the injured list? Like, bro, Crochet, Gray, Crawford, Houck, Slayton, Coulomb. Hell, if we want to jump
potentially Suarez,
maybe Ranger Suarez, Johan Oviedo, Patrick Sandoval. Like, oh my gosh, dude! Like,
Red Sox fans aren't allowed to have nice things lately.
Apparently not. Apparently not.
But,
hey, we get Craig Breslow, who has given us some nice things. I will say. I mean, there are some nice things going on. I mean, we'll get to some of those nice things later when we're out of AAA and their absolutely depleted roster. I don't obviously I know you guys talked about Eyanson and whatnot like that.
Yeah, we did Portland and Eyanson just because, as mentioned, I went to the Portland games, didn't go to Portland, but
yeah. But I mean, I will say Vinny Capra had 2 homers this week.
Yeah, Vinny Capra had a great week.
Anthony
Siegler had a great week.
Yeah. I mean, Braden Ward just being Braden Ward, 3 stolen bases. even Campbell had like a solid week, or like the 3 for 9, but like the 2 walks and just 3 strikeouts. Like I feel like that's like a good sign.
Yeah. And I had someone ask me this, and I asked someone in the organization. Campbell didn't play the last 3 games of the week. He was apparently, quote unquote, under the weather. They said he was fine, like no injury or anything, and he was available to play on Sunday. But doesn't seem like anything serious, which is very good because he has looked so much better lately. And with a lot of the issues the Red Sox have had, it would be great for them to have him available to them at some point this year.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, on the pitching side, hey, Nathan Hickey threw a scoreless inning. Shout out.
And he hit his first homer of the year.
That too. Eduardo Rivera went 3 scoreless. Only give him 1 hit, 5 strikeouts, no walks. Jeez, getting ahead of myself. Angel Bastardo had a scoreless 2-inning outing where he only got 1 hit, just the 1 walk, and 3 strikeouts. Bastardo's a really interesting one.
Yeah.
Still building up, but like the fact that they have him in Worcester and he's playing to that, he's pitching at that level.
Yeah,
already,
five
like,
shutout innings. He's only given up 1 run, or I'm sorry, only given up 1 hit. Like he's looked great, man. And this is his first taste of AAA, and he hadn't pitched in a year and a half. Like
exactly.
This has been such a shock. I would not have been not shock, such a big positive, because I wouldn't have been shocked if we were here right now being like, oh well, yeah, he's building back up. He hadn't pitched in forever. Like we're seeing some good things. The numbers aren't great, but you know, he's getting strikeouts or something. But it's like, no, everything's been great. The outside of the walks, I guess, 4 walks in 5 innings. But
yeah, but like I mean, it's coming back off the injury, and also too like things that, and we mentioned it at times with other pitchers, but like walks are like it's the most common problem that has to be fixed with pitchers. Like if that's your only issue going for you, like I think you'll be okay in the long run. Obviously, Alec Gamboa is with the big league team now. He went 5 2/3 in his start, 6 strikeouts, 1 walk, just 2 runs. Then I'll mention another potential big league option. Tommy Kahnle had a scoreless inning. I feel like it's only a matter of time for him.
So him and Jake mentioned this earlier, but him and Gamboa both had their upward mobility clauses, and they obviously promoted Gamboa. They did not promote Kahnle, but he staying in the organization, so that's really good. That's really good depth. Yeah,
really good depth. Unless he turns into like a double agent, but like outside of that, yes, really good depth. Yeah, there's not really a ton with Worcester, in all honesty.
Yeah, no. I had Bastardo, Ward 4 for 16. It was he hit his first triple and first homer of the year. And then Alan Castro went 3 for 21, but he did have a double, a homer, 7 RBIs.
Some really hard to hit balls that he got robbed.
Some really hard hit balls. I think he stole a base this week. I don't remember. I didn't write that down.
He did.
Okay.
He did. Mickey Gasper stole a base.
But he's driven in 20 runs. He has 6 steals. Like you said, he's been hitting the ball hard. It's been a little bit of bad luck for him. But we're absolutely seeing like positive signs, and it's still May, so
yeah,
no reason to.
The only crappy thing for someone like him is we say Kristian Campbell's blocked.
Yeah, seriously, Alan Castro's triple blocked.
Yeah, like it's
there
one
would
of those
need
things
to be multiple trades and then multiple injuries.
Yeah, literally. Although, but like in some ways too, there isn't like I wouldn't say there's even a rush to get him out of AAA this year, though. In some ways too.
No, there's not.
It's not like if he's like I could see him staying in the org next year and being that like ready to go outfielder for next year. If like something does happen, I could see it, right?
Yeah.
Like the difference between like Alan Castro and Eyanson Garcia was at the point where it's like it's kind of tough to keep him in AAA as the 3rd or 4th option.
Yeah.
Or the 2nd. Like, because right now, Campbell, Nady, and if Eyanson Garcia was like the 3rd option, like, it's like kind of just wasting him. With the Pirates, like, he's probably their 1st option if something happens. You know, although they're the Pirates, they're not always the smartest. That's not a shot at Ben Cherington. That's just a shot at the Pirates in general, because I don't think Ben Cherington's dumb like the Pirates historically in recent memory have been, but like, you know, I don't know. Maybe you go to Pittsburgh and get like poo brain or something. I don't know. But like the thing with Castro, I could very well could see it being like, yeah, play this year in Worcester, come back next year, and you have a chance to maybe even either fight for a bench spot or be that first guy up out of Worcester. Because like a guy like Nate Eaton, how long is he gonna just stick around with the Red Sox and just be a AAA guy? Like,
Yeah.
Some other team might want to give him an opportunity, right? Especially with how well he hits lefties. It's a little bit like some similar thing with like Nick Sogard, for example. That is one of the things where it's like, yeah, he's on your 40 man, but like, how long can you just keep him sitting around? Like, I don't know. And like Nate Eaton only has one option left, so as well. So like, he's gonna be in that spot where with Nate Eaton, it's like, okay,
Yeah.
you can't really send him down next year. So unless he's your bench outfielder, good freaking luck. Let me see. Yeah, because Ian had one option entering this year, so he'll be burnt through all his options after this year. So like Nate Eaton, like coming into next year, like might not be in the Red Sox, or if he is, it'll have to be on the big league team, right? So that kind of opens up that spot for Castro to kind of be that guy in AAA and be like, hey, like you're going to be our go-to outfielder, because like you look at AA and it's like with all the guys there between like Nelly Taylor, Miguel Blaze, right, that kind of group, it's a little bit like Blaze. There's always been flashes, but like it's been a while since we've seen him put it together for an extended period of time. And I know Nelly Taylor hasn't hit well to start the year, but like the defense is always going to be there. But like Nelly Taylor's not going to be the guy who's ready to go up to the big leagues right at the start of next year. So like in some ways, like Castro's going to be in a different spot than what Johan Fran was in this year. Not Johan Fran, sorry, Justinson. I just read the Portland roster. That's why I said I saw Johan Fran's name and it just stuck in my head. His Sox prospects has him listed at DH, which is right under the outfield. This screwing with me. But no, it's good to see those signs out of Castro. It's interesting because don't put him in trade proposals, people. Come on, stay off it. All you internet trade proposal people, stop it. This is also my plea of don't do it, because he very well could be that number one, that go-to guy in the outfield next year in Worcester.
Yeah,
they need someone up, Alan Castro. I mean, the only caveat to him is he's Rule 5 eligible, but if they do think he might be that first guy up, maybe they just add him to the 40 man. Because like I said, Nate Eaton being out of options, that's an issue. Other than that, though, I think that's pretty much it for Worcester.
Yeah, there's something I want to say, but I think I'm going to wait until after Greenville, because I think it'll make more sense for me to say it there.
All right, cool. Well, let's bump to Greenville. I think the best starting point here, or at least to me, I feel like the best starting point is Yoel and Cespedes. This was someone who Sox prospects had as a top 10 prospect. He was kind of right there with Arias entering last year. And obviously Arias kind of just took off.
I know we've talked about it before, but I can't remember if I'm making it up in my head or not. He was a top 100 prospect at one point, right?
He might have been for one.
When he first went to Salem after like killing it in the FCL, and then he got hurt, obviously, and never played in Salem. Wasn't he a top 100 prospect when that happened? I don't know.
Maybe one like prospect ranking site put him in the. I don't remember. That was a while ago, because it would have been very briefly, I think.
Yeah.
But like, so like Yoel, and especially like it's interesting because like I mentioned it so many times over the lifespan of this podcast, of this minor league show, where it's like, hey, like prospect, like player development's not linear. And like Arias is taken off like a rocket ship, and Cespedes kind of had a little bit of that kind of bumpy start. Not like he didn't, at least compared to Arias at the very least, right? I think everyone compared to Arias might have been a bumpy start. But we've really kind of seen, especially this year, especially as of late, we've really seen him really kind of that. It seems like he's turning that corner. I guess is kind of the best way to put it. Where like this week he hits 3 home runs, he has 2 doubles. 9 for 23, just the one walk. The 4 strikeouts in 5 games, like that's something where it's like, okay, he's not striking out, didn't strike out 7 or 8 times, even with that good of a week, right? And just kind of over the course of the year, he's really seemingly starting to put things together. He's only 20 years old. He doesn't turn 21 till September. He's only like 2 months younger. 2 months older, I think, than like Franklin Arias, or maybe 1 month or something. Like they're basically the same age. So, and with that, like he's still in Greenville. It's not like, it's not like he's a 24-year-old in Salem. Like he's a 20-year-old in high A, right? Like that is an impressive feat in itself. And this year he's got 100 at bats, and he's hitting 300 with a 972 OPS. He's got 6 homers and 12 doubles. Like, yeah, the 27 strikeouts, it's a lot, but it's definitely one of those things. Like, a lot of hitters at that age struggle with strikeouts. It's not like I hate to say this because he's on my fantasy baseball team, and 2, I don't think it's as big of an issue for him, but he's not striking out like Munetaka Murakami. And I say that in the way of like,
but also if he wants to strike out like Murakami while also leading the league home runs, I'm fine with it.
And also walking like 20% of the time too. Like, that's the thing with Murakami. Like, I was joking. Like, it would probably like love like, oh, it'd be so funny if the Red Sox got Murakami just because it would like Twitter ablaze. But like what he's done this year, even though he strikes out a boatload with all the walks and the home runs, it's like maybe the Red Sox could have used that. But like, I don't know. Like, well, I'm trying to think of someone else who just like strikes out a boatload, like Joey Gallo, right? This is more so throwing a dig at Joey Gallo, but I will never hesitate to throw a dig at Joey Gallo. I also don't know why. I just don't. No clue. Maybe it was because everyone like talked about him as being like amazing at MLB The Show, and I always sucked with him.
Dude, video games will make you love or hate people.
Dude,
I talk about this all the time. Video games will make you like, there will be a random person you all of a sudden it's your favorite player ever, and there will be someone who it's like you'll have a hatred where people are like, dude, what? And it's just like, oh, he always kills me in 2K
Tyler
whatever.
Flowers.
That's hilarious because I love Tyler Flowers because of that.
So, or like Justin Verlander was one that I could not stand as a kid. Like, I remember on MLB 2K, it was the game he was on the cover for, and he would just like come out pumping like 102, and I'm like, and he'd throw like 102 into like the 7th or 8th inning. Like,
the two most notable.
What?
The 2 most notable for me was Luis Scola, because my brother always used to take him in NBA 2K, and we would do like franchises where we were against each other. And he would make it his mission to score like 80 points a game with Scola against me. And then Danilo Gallinari, I hated him because he used to cook me. And then one year I said, you know what, I'm taking Danilo Gallinari so he can't cook me. And then I was amazing with him. And then he became one of my favorite players. So that's a rare case of a video game making you hate then love someone.
Well, it's like interesting because like I also like, it's funny because I found like an MLB The Show, like, for me, the best thing has always gone pitching and like defense and screw the hitting, because like if you can track a ball down in the gap while you're like, especially when I would play against my friends, if we do like a fantasy draft, I would take like the 99 speed center fielder with like, I would take like Kevin Kiermaier, and they'd be like, why are you taking Kiermaier? I'm like, bro, good freaking luck getting a hit. I would take like Kiermaier, and then I would legitimately take like 3 Gold Glove center fielders in just for my outfield. And most often the time, they couldn't freaking hit. And you know what? It didn't matter. Andrelton Simmons is available. Cool. He's my shortstop. Screw it. Can he hit? No. Austin Hedges. You know what? You can be my catcher. You can't. You are. Well, most of the time he'd end up being like my backup. But like Patrick Bailey is the perfect example. Like, dude, you can barely hit, but you know what? You can play some damn defense. And then I'd just load my pitching staff with just absolute goons. Just like, I might score 2 runs a game, but I'm not giving up more than 2. But Yoelen is really turning that corner, I think.
Yeah.
And like he's like the strikeout, 27 strikeouts in 24 games. It's not great, but it's not like terribly bad either. Like, obviously, yeah, you'd like to maybe see it be a little bit less on the strikeout numbers, but, he's, like I said, he's 20 years old, right? Like, it's something that can improve over time. And the similar thing with, like, pitchers and walks, right? Strikeouts for hitters at this age, at his age, are probably the most common issue. So, not like a massive concern. And when he does put the ball in play, the results are really coming right now. So, I think it's really exciting to see. And like I said, like he was even ranked ahead of Arias at one point.
Yeah,
like
when he got promoted to single A, he was ahead of Arias, and then he got hurt and didn't play, and Arias went to single A and killed it. And then by the end of the year, Arias was ranked ahead of him, and then he just never looked back. He became one of the best prospects in baseball.
Yeah, but no, it is definitely funny because you kind of look at that and you see, like, oh, like Yohan Cespedes had like a kind of crappy year last year, and it's like, it's like he was 19 years old. Like,
yeah, there were ups and downs.
There was, but like 19 years old.
Yeah, and again, it's like you said, obviously 19 years old,
playing in Salem too.
He's at a new level. And that's a big part of it. Is there were a lot of loud outs, and I feel like we've said it to death, but like, look at Roman Anthony's numbers in single A. They weren't good. Like, and like, yeah, there were other issues with Cespedes, like the strikeout rate was too high and he wasn't walking enough and like he wasn't taking enough pitches, all these other things. But like the talent, I don't think anybody was ever too worried that like, oh, it was a flash in the pan, because it was like watching him, you saw it. And this year, it's just been, he leads the team in doubles with 12. He leads the team in homers with 6. He leads the team in RBIs with 20. He leads the team in runs scored with 20. He's been special, and he's halfway to his doubles total of last year, 24. He's over halfway to his home run total last year, which was 10. He has 6 this year. Like it's clicking. He's more mature at the plate. The defense has been phenomenal. That was like a big, when he first came over to when he first got to like affiliate ball, it was like, oh yeah, really good hitter, not giving you like, he's an okay defender. He has looked phenomenal, especially at second base. He's making a ton of great plays.
Hence why, you take shortstops, or you get guys who are shortstops, because if they're mediocre at shortstop, they might be really good somewhere else.
Yeah, because when you're 16, 15, 14, 13, whatever, when you're playing Little League baseball, the best athlete is playing shortstop. Like, it's not a situation.
They either play shortstop or they play center field.
Yeah. It's not a situation of like you're putting your best players at those positions. Is the point I'm trying to make. But yeah, it's just everything's clicking, and he's finally out of that Salem ballpark, and it's like this is a guy who, it's not a bad, it's a good thing for the Red Sox and for Red Sox fans. But this is a guy who, if like Franklin Arias wasn't doing what he was doing, and if Justin Gonzalez wasn't 17 feet tall and hitting 900-foot home runs, Cespedes would be talked about exponentially more. There's multiple guys on this Greenville roster that would get talked about so much more if it wasn't for Anthony Eyanson becoming the best pitcher in baseball. And like, I
would be raving over Henry Godbout right now.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for literally like Cespedes this week and Gonzalez and Eyanson and Phillips and even Witherspoon, like the numbers for Witherspoon haven't been like crazy or anything, but like you've seen bright spots with him, right?
Yeah, you see the pitches looking gross.
It's
like, all right, he'll be fine.
Yes. And like that's the thing where it's like there's just so much talent, and it's one of the things too. I mentioned it, I think I mentioned it with Godbout. It's like Godbout fits like kind of like similar mold to like what Kristian Campbell was when the Red Sox drafted him, where it was like college hitter, bat to ball skills are there, right? But okay, maybe let's add some power to that frame. And like I brought up Kevin McGonigal, but like the Tigers did the exact same damn thing with him, right? Okay, this guy can like elite bat to ball skills, add some pop, and then holy shit, right? I mean, Franklin Arias is somewhat in that same boat right now too, right? Like Arias, like really, 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 really good bat to ball skills. And now the power's starting to show. Oh God, right? Like it's one of the things where too, like I'm almost looking at Godbout. Like he had the homer this week and 2 doubles, and I'm like, ooh, where's the power coming? I'm like, it's starting to creep out a little bit. Like, come on. And I mean that too in like a, not to say Gobout's gonna like break out or anything, but like he very much feels like a type of guy that if there is a little bit of power, like untapped power in there, and they find it, it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, and we're seeing it with like Yoferi Rodriguez did not have the best week this week, but he hit a home run, and now he hit 5 homers all of last year. He has 6 already this year. His career high 7. Like he's going to fly past that number. He's got a 605 slug this year. He had a 341 last year. He had a 316 on base percentage. He has a 374. Like this is something I feel like we've said multiple times, but for as much crap as the Red Sox have deservedly gotten for how they've handled some things, the minor league system seems to be unlocking a lot for a lot of these guys. And we talked about it a little bit last week with like there was a clear disconnect between the major league coaching and the minor league coaching, and how it seemed like they would get up to the major leagues and they were like, cool, forget everything you learned. This is how we're doing things. And it's like, I don't want to say that the way the major league team was doing it is wrong, but it's just like the minor league system seems to have unlocked things, and then it was counterintuitive to be like, hey, switch things up. So I get.
And it's also hard just as an organization, like for a player, like you're told to do all these things in the minor leagues, and if you get to the big leagues and now they're telling you, no, don't do those things. Like, even if they're not necessarily wrong, it's still probably like it's a transition, right? And it's probably a difficult one considering you spent however long you've been in the system doing certain things one way, and now you're told, no, you can't do it that way anymore, or you shouldn't do it that way. Like, especially when you're a young kid in the big leagues, like.
Yeah, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, by the way, you're going up against Paul Skeens tonight. Remember to forget everything you were taught, and do it this way now.
And also, too, now you get like the vets on the team being like, I'm not saying any vets on this current team, but like we've seen it in past, like, the Tristan Casas thing where the sunbathing and you get vets being like, oh, you shouldn't do that, blah blah. It's like, come on, like.
That was so.
He's not hurting you.
Man yells
it was, but like it's not hurting you, but like it literally was like. It was a legitimate thing, right? Because it's like the veterans are like, no, we don't do that here. And it's like, okay, but like it's his thing. Like he's not hurting you. Like let him do it. It's not, you don't have to do it. He's not saying you, like nobody's saying you have to do it. Right? Like it was one of those
disrupting anyone. He wasn't forcing people to do it.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, before the game, I like to go lay on the grass for a little bit. And they were like, oh, how dare you?
Like, oh, how dare you, right? But it's like one of those things too, where like you can't, like, as much crap, and I've mentioned this, like when people are like claiming for Breslow's head, and it's funny because like for me being a college student, especially in Massachusetts, sometimes it's hard to like have somewhat grounded takes about the Red Sox. People are like, well, Breslow needs to go, oh, why do you fire Court? No, they suck, it's all his fault. And it's like, the big league team might suck, but like, look at it's hard to just be like, look at the minor league system and all the success because they don't care. But it's like so, or like you have like like my science professor is like, we're the Red Sox. And I'm like one, you were like casual fan as casual gets, but like also like the minor, like I mean, to be fair, we're doing the minor league show, right? Like you like literal, but like the minor leagues have been so much fun this year. So much fun. And like it goes to think of like people are like, you can't fire Breslow because he was like the last on your list. And it's like, you can't fire Breslow because of what the player development's doing in the minor leagues. You can't. You literally cannot. And the thing is, everyone gives Breslow credit for the pitching side of things. And like a lot of it feels weird because like the hitting credit doesn't really go to Breslow. And I know he's not like a hitting guy, but like even if nothing changed from Heim's regime to Breslow's regime in terms of the hitting side of things, you still got to give Craig credit for not changing it.
Yeah.
Because how many guys would come in and just immediately want to change it? Right? And so, like, in some sense, too, like, yeah, like Roman and Marcel, like, they're Heim guys, yes, but, like, you look at guys, you look at your Franklin Arias, for example, and it's like a lot of his development is coming under the system that Breslow is running. I still see Arias kind of like a Heim guy because he was signed when Heim was, but like at the same time too, like he's flourishing under the system that Craig Breslow is in charge of, right? And like I said, Breslow's not the only guy. There's a whole front office and baseball ops and player development and a whole bunch of people, right? But like when people go to like the whole fire Breslow thing, I'm like, you kind of can't. Like Franklin Arias, Anthony Eyanson, Justin Gonzalez, even like the young pitcher like Peyton Tolley tonight, right? Like you like some of the things you see, and you're just like, you can't get rid of Breslow. You can't. It's as much as it sucks to the big league team was bad for like 3 years straight. That's one thing, but like they were literally just in the playoffs last year. Like you can't with how much success there's been in the system and the fact that it's May 4th as we're recording this, you can't can Breslow. You just can't. And I mean, hell, let's go through this Greenville team real quick. Cespedes with 3 home runs. Fraley Encarnacion had a real good week. 2 doubles, 2 homers. Henry Godbout had a homer. Justin Gonzalez had a homer. Adonis Guzman had a homer. Gilferio Rodriguez had a homer. Mason White had a homer. Gerardo Rodriguez had 8 hits. Right? Like, really, really, really good week for a lot of guys. Jack Winay didn't have like the craziest week. He had 2 hits. He only had 2 hits, but he drew 6 walks. Right? The pitching side of things, obviously. Eyanson. Devin Futrell had a really good start. Alex Bouchard looked good in his 5 1/3 out of the bullpen. Griffin Killander had 2 1/3 scoreless innings. And just overall, there's so much good going on. Greenville's kind of like the highlight of it this year, but there's so much fun going on, right? And we are lucky. We are like the lucky ones because we don't have to come here and talk about, oh, the Red Sox lost a series. The Red Sox got swept by the Yankees. We get to come on here and be, oh, Franklin Arias hit 7 home runs in a 9-game stretch. Anthony Eyanson.
To be fair, sometimes it makes it worse though, because I want to just come on here and scream for 30 minutes, and I'm like, I can't do that because we can't talk. We're not supposed to be talking about that as much.
Well, true, but in some ways too, it is a little bit of a good distraction.
It's a nice reprieve from that.
It's a nice reprieve because we very much are like the lucky ones because we get to come here and just gush about Franklin Arias. We get to gush about Anthony Eyanson, the fact that he didn't walk anyone in the month of April because his start
we've said it before.
His last start was in May.
We've said it before. Winning matters in the minor leagues,
yes,
but it's not the end all be all. So it's like if Portland goes 0-6 in a week, but Franklin Arias hits 500, we're not going to be sitting here like, man, I really wish they would have figured out how to win that last game. No, we're talking about Franklin Arias in nature.
And in some ways too, it's funny because for me, it's somewhat sus. The Ranger Suarez start where he went 8 innings, and I'm I remember people some people talked about it, but they're like, oh, the team still sucks. So I'm like, Ranger Suarez just might have had the best start of his career. And it's funny because people in some way because when you're losing, a lot of people don't care about it, but I'm like, look what Ranger Suarez just freaking did, right? Look at the Jake Bennett start. Was it the most impressive start in the world? No, but for a big league debut, you take that 9 times, if not 10 times out of 10, right? Peyton Tolley today, right? Duran seemingly might be turning a corner, right? There's for me, because I try to be positive, right? I look at some of the stuff even with the big league team, and I'm like, okay, they lost 2 out of 3, but you know what? Freaking Ranger Suarez look really damn good, or
Marcelo Myers got a hit 10 out of his last 11, or
or freaking O'Connelly Early's looked good, or hell, it could even be something as simple as Garrett Whitlock came out of the bullpen 2 times in this series and pitched amazing both times. Right? Sometimes it can be something that simple. For me, I like to focus on the positive because the more you dwell on the negative, you're just gonna make yourself feel shitty. But and that's the thing with Greenville this year. It's funny. Everyone and we talk about Greenville so much and all the talent. How much have we talked about their record this year?
Yeah, exactly. I guarantee you 99.999% of people would not be able to tell you what their record is.
I couldn't tell you what their record is right now. Because in it's nice and it's good to win, but overall, I'm not following what Greenville's record's going to be through May 4th. And for the record, they're 13-14, right?
And again, not that they don't care about winning, but you'll see games where they go into extras and they put a position player on the mound because winning is secondary to their actual goal of developing these young players. Like, but you mentioned Justin Gonzalez. He went 8 for 20. He hit for the cycle in the week. He had a double, a triple, a homer. He's hitting 302. He has a 500 slug. He has a 385 on base. He's driven in 18 runs, scored 19, 5 doubles, a triple, 4 homers. It's just so much fun to watch Justin Gonzalez every time he comes up to bat. He's one of those, like, at the moment it's him and Franklin Arias, where it's like anytime they get a hit, I feel like I might have to post the hit, even if it's a infield single, because it's just like everybody wants to see what Justin Gonzalez is doing. And this is, I mentioned how there was something I kind of wanted to say with AAA, but I wanted to wait. I get it. Justin Gonzalez is an athlete for his size. He's looked solid in the outfield, and he has a ridiculous arm that would be wasted at first base. I'm just a little confused, because it was something I noticed when I was at the Portland games, is that Portland has no actual first baseman on their roster. All the first basemen are catchers. It's like, oh, Raldis Martinez catches, but he can play first. Oh, Brooks Brannon's a catcher, but he can play first. Oh, Nate Baez is a catcher, but he can play first. Max Ferguson's a second baseman / outfielder, but we'll throw him at first base for a game. The Red Sox haven't developed a first baseman in forever, and I get it. It's like not the sexiest position to develop a prospect at. But like when you like every good team tends to have a really good first baseman. Like, oh, they have like a Pete Alonso type, a Matt Olson type. Like I'm not saying it's the most important position to develop prospect wise, but I just feel like wouldn't it be a bad idea for the Red Sox to find a first baseman that they're not converting to first base? Because Justin Gonzalez, Antonio Anderson was a third baseman who they were like, hey, we don't have any first baseman, so we're going to throw you there. I just mentioned like all the catchers, like Fraley Encarnacion, they throw at first base every once in a while. He was not a first baseman. It's just
even in AAA, like Mickey Gasper and Nick Sogard are playing a ton of first base.
Like those aren't first basemen that they are trying to play first base.
Yeah, like you look at Portland on Sox prospects, they have Brooks Brannon listed at first base.
Yeah,
Greenville, it is Fraley. Like even in Salem, it's D'Angelo Ortiz, which he's
kind of a first. Like that one's fine. I'm fine with you starting.
Sort of, but like he's probably a first baseman, but he's kind of that like tween. In my opinion, he's more of like a first base, third base tweener.
Yeah,
that like those kind of get stuck at first base. But like if D'Angelo Ortiz is your only true first base prospect that's starting in the system, like. Okay, like, and he's in Salem, so and this is nothing against D'Angelo Ortiz. It's more to the point of you don't have a legitimate first base prospect above Salem.
Yeah, and we saw this issue happen last year where they were all of a sudden just like, let's throw a bunch of people at first base like that. I genuinely think that's why they started playing Antonio Anderson at first base, because Casas went down and they were scrambling. And I'm not saying they were like, oh, Antonio Anderson's coming up. I think they realized we have 0 first base prospects, and they were like, hey, Antonio Anderson, let's see if you can play first. And then like maybe in 2 years you become a top first base prospect.
Although I do wonder if they are gonna I wouldn't be shocked if Brooks Brandon gets legit first base.
Yeah.
Like it wouldn't shock me. I mean their current first baseman in the big leagues, Wilson Contreras.
Yes.
Albeit, to be fair, when the Cardinals moved him to first base, they had like 4 big league catchers, including him. So like last year, there were points last year where the Cardinals would literally carry like 3 catchers plus Ivan Herrera, who was DHing, and Wilson Contreras, who was playing first base.
Yeah.
Like it was legitimately depending on how you looked at it, like 5 catchers. It was like Ivan Herrera, Wilson Contreras, Pedro Paz, Joel Pozo, and then they had like a 5th catcher. I think it might have been like Jimmy Crooks for like a little bit at the end of the year or something.
Yeah.
Like legitimately 5 catchers on the big league roster. Like, yeah, at that point, like Wilson Contreras moving to first base makes sense. But like the Red Sox don't have like a traditional, and to be fair, yes, traditional first basemen aren't, typically, a coveted thing. But like, look at Nick Kurtz.
Exactly.
Right? Hell, I'll even chuck it back to Murakami, right? Because like everyone was like, "Oh, he's not going to be good defensively." Well, everyone's complaining how the Red Sox don't have power. Well, you want raw power? I mean, that guy brings just as much as anyone.
Yeah.
Right? Like legitimately might even like Murakami like could lead the big leagues in home runs this year, and it wouldn't shock me. I mentioned it to Jason. I'm like, Murakami might, like, I mentioned it before the year started. I'm like, Murakami might hit 50. He might not hit 200, but he might hit 50. Like, literally. And, like, that, it's, like, that's a guy, like, played third base in Japan. We knew he was kind of going to be first baseman in the big leagues. But, like, you look for the Red Sox, and it's interesting. But, like, I'll actually even comp it to, like, the MLB draft, right? Because I think this is a really interesting thing. You look at like the MLB draft for like this year, for example, you run down like your quote unquote top draft prospects. Where's the first baseman? Right? Where are they? You know, like, are we going to see a first baseman taken in the first round of the draft? I don't know. You look at like your first base prospects from MLB.com. It's Bryce Eldridge. Okay. Outlier in kind of ways. Second is Charlie Condon, who was not drafted as a first baseman. And they also have him listed at first base / outfield. I'll also just throw that out there. Then it's like Ralphie Velasquez for Cleveland, who's listed as a first baseman / outfielder. Then it's Ryan Clifford, first base / outfield, right? Cam Collier, first base / third base. Although I wouldn't be shocked if he just ends up at first base anyways, but still. And then you finally get to like your Jonathan Longs, and then like the Rays have Xavier Isaac and Trey Morgan, although Trey Morgan's played a little bit of outfield. But like Xavier Isaac was a late first round pick in his draft, and he's one of the best. Like, he was a first round pick in 2022. He's still only in AA, and he was a draft pick who came out in 2022 in the 22 draft and has been in the Rays system for 4 full seasons. And he's still in AA, and he's probably the second best pure first base prospect in baseball, maybe 3. Because like I'm not counting like Condon and them as first basemen. That's just no, they're not pure first basemen. Like it speaks to just, I think it's a little bit of a trend around baseball as a whole.
Yes, I wouldn't disagree with that. It's just like we saw them scramble last year. And
yes.
If something happens to
their true first baseman is the true first baseman is might never play again. That's the issue.
Yeah.
I love Tristan Casas, but like, dude, I would not bet money on him touching a field ever again. And I don't mean that, and I don't think he's ever going to play again. I'm just saying, like, the 2 injuries he had back to back were two very severe injuries.
Yeah.
Like, there were rumors that he might be ready for opening day. We're in May. Have we heard anything about Tristan Casas?
Barely.
Right? And I don't even mean this to be rude about Tristan Casas. Like, yeah, the Red Sox developed a damn good first base prospect. He has had 2 of the most unfortunate injuries in recent Red Sox memory. Like the rib thing, and then the whole like knee leg thing.
Yeah,
like,
the leg exploding.
Yeah, like that like literally could have happened to anyone. It obviously costs us maybe more risk because he's just a massive human being, but there are other massive human beings in the big leagues.
Aaron Judge. Human being.
Could have happened to literally anyone.
And he had a lot of injury problems at the start of his career. He's been much better since. But
but like literally could have happened to anyone. And that's the thing. Like, they did develop a really good first base prospect. He just might be the unluckiest player in the last 5 years when it comes to injury when it comes to injury luck.
But like we saw them scramble last year, and it's like one Wilson Contreras injury away from scrambling again.
Literally.
And it's like you said, I get it. It's kind of a trend in baseball that there's just not really a ton of like true first base prospects. But it's just like you have 900 outfielders. You still haven't figured that situation out. You have other outfielders in the minor leagues, including like Kristian
Maybe
Campbell,
Trevor Story can play first base.
Maybe. But like you have Kristian Campbell, who's like just an outfielder.
He leads the Red Sox in throwing errors since he's joined the team. Maybe he won't have to throw the ball as much at first base. I don't know, just a thought.
And then you have like just throughout the system, you have Endy Azekar, you have Yoferi Rodriguez, you have Nelly Taylor, Will Turner, Miguel Blaze, like Alan Castro. You have a ton of outfielders, and it's like I get it that outfield is the better position and he's got a great arm and everything, but it's just like Justin Gonzalez was a pure first baseman not that long ago. It just kind of shocks me that he hasn't touched first base in 2 years all of a sudden. To me, it really feels like they're playing more of a, this makes his value better than a, this is what's best for the team. And it bothers me a little bit because, like, yeah, sure, maybe the excitement levels would be down a tiny bit if he was playing first base right now. Like, there wouldn't be highlights of him throwing people out at home or at third base or whatever. But I can't imagine people wouldn't be thrilled about, hey, there's this 6'7" giant in high A hitting over 300 with light tower power, and he draws walks, and he plays a position of need where the only guy in the organization who is major league ready there's two guys major league ready at the position. One of them has barely been seen for the last 3 years because he keeps getting hurt, and the other one's 34 years old and has been on the team for 2 months. Like,
yeah,
I feel like it might make fans happy to know that they have someone.
First base is also such a weird position this year. So let me read to you the top 5 first basemen in F4 this year in the big leagues. Ben Rice.
He's been great.
Yeah, but also, like, the guy was a catcher how long ago?
Yeah.
Matt Olson. Okay.
Ildemaro
Vargas.
Sure. He's been absurd this year, but
yeah, he has, but like, and then
there's gonna be a hard regression with him soon, though.
Sure. Well, hopefully not, because he's on my fantasy team. But besides the point.
Someone keeps trying to trade me him. Like, they keep trying to give him to me.
Oh, I took him because Matt McLean was shitting the bed, and I needed someone to fill in at second base. But hey, now Tatis has second base eligibility.
Yeah, there you go. But he doesn't even have a homer this year, so. But they keep offering me like Vargas and then asking for like Michael King, David Hamilton, like 7 people. And I'm like, no, Vargas is hitting 400. He is a career 250 hitter. Like, he's 36 years old. This regression is going to be heavy. Like, I don't. And
he does not walk. He does not walk. And he's got a 388 BABIP.
Stop trying to fleece me for this guy who's clearly going to suck for the next 3 months. I'm good.
I just need him to keep it up till like June more than anything. Well, until Jackson Holiday's healthy at the very least. At the very least for me. Then it's Christian Walker, who was coming off a real rough year.
Yeah.
And then Wilson Contreras. Right.
Who's been fantastic.
Yeah. It's a very, like, first base is such a weird position because you have your guy, like, Vladdy is 6th, right? Nick Kurtz is 8th.
Yeah.
Murakami's 7th. Pete Alonso's down 13th, actually, and so is Freddie Freeman, right? But, like, how, like, last year, like, Jonathan Aranda became one of the best first basemen in baseball out of nowhere, right? Like, first base is one of those positions, like, and, like, I mean, Aranda wasn't a first baseman. He was more of, like, a second baseman that just got moved to first base. But, like, first base is one of those weird positions where, like, especially recently, like, it's not that deep. Like, you got maybe 8 good first basemen, and the rest are just like, a power hitter who does nothing else, or like your random, like, Luis Ariz is going to get thrown in there, right? Because he was playing first base for a little bit, right? Or like the freaking Padres when they were playing Jake Cronenworth at first base, which, like, that guy's not a first baseman, right? Like it's guys like that where it's like I said, first base is such a weird position, and defense doesn't really get valued. Bryce Harper's 23rd in F4 this year among first basemen. Although I say Harper's kind of a little bit of a I don't know if Harper's a little bit of a caveat because he does have a 129 weighted runs created plus this year. He's just defensive metrics hate him this year. He's already got -7 outs above average.
Ew.
At first base. I didn't know that was possible to do in one month.
That's aggressive.
Yeah. But, like, first base is such a weird position. Like, because back in the, like, when I say back in the day, like, even before my time, like, first base was, like, I think of, like, the old, like, Cardinals teams when they got, like, Will Clark. And it was just, like, speed, and then big thumper in the middle of your lineup, right? And the first baseman was supposed to be your big thumper, especially in the National League where you didn't have a DH.
I feel like first base historically was always big thumper or just like God defensively.
Yeah.
Like JT Snow, where it was just like, yeah, he's just there to hit a couple homers and play really good defense.
Yeah. Or
like
or
Doug
was
Mankiewicz, like, oh, he's just there to be the best defensive first baseman and save a bunch of errors. And then you have like Jim Thome or Frank Thomas.
David Ortiz before he was a DH.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like it's been a weird position for a while, but like I feel like now, especially where, you know, every team wants to put their best players at a premier position. I mean, I think some of it might have to do with just like value, and also too like it's one of my favorite movie ever. But like, and it's my favorite movie just because it was like the movie that like really like it was like the first baseball movie like that I had watched like legitimately since I was a kid that was like piqued my interest, and it was Moneyball, just because I watched it like early in high school after I had read the book, and like I was like I went into it thinking like, yeah, the movie's probably not going to be the same as the book, but you know what, like I haven't watched a legitimately like baseball movie since like my childhood, where it was like Rook of the Year, Little Big League, etc., Angels in the Outfield, but those are all movies that were like in the 90s. Like, yeah, Trouble with the Curve, but that was never like I was never crazy over that movie.
Yeah.
So like when Moneyball came out, it's like, oh, cool, a baseball movie. It was like, especially when I realized after I read the book, oh, there's a movie. I'm like, oh, a baseball movie, let's go. And the scene everyone recalls from Moneyball is Billy Beane going, oh, first base isn't that hard, and Ron Washington's like, it's incredibly hard. And like, but like, there's truth to that, because like the general consensus, oh, first base isn't that hard, and it's like, yeah, it is. And I'll go back to like Nathan Hickey. I talked to him about it on opening day in Worcester. And I was like, and I basically asked him like, how you feeling at first base? Because everyone calls it, you know, it's you've had a full off season and a full year of playing first base now under your belt. You know, what's it like coming into this year, having that experience now under your belt? Because everyone calls first base the easiest position.
Yeah. And
like Nathan Hickey literally said, like the experience has helped them, just because, you know, it's not just an easy position. Like there are things you need to know how to do. And Nathan Hickey straight up said it, like, yeah, it's not the most athletically demanding position. It's not a center field or a shortstop, but you know, a shortstop doesn't have to pick throws in the dirt because, you know, you got a noodle arm at shortstop who's had multiple shoulder and elbow injuries. Sorry, Trevor Story, but I went there. Sorry. You know, so it's one of those things where like it is such a weird position because it's such like a niche thing. Like a shortstop, you can put him at second base, you can put him at third, you could even, you know, move him to the outfield, right? You have a first baseman, you can't really move him anywhere else unless it's Justin Gonzalez, or like if Cody Bellinger was a first baseman before he was an outfielder.
Yeah.
Right? But like you can't really move a first baseman anywhere for the most part. Maybe to third base. Maybe. And that's a stretch. Yeah. Right? A third baseman, you can maybe move to first or the outfield. But like outside of that, you're not really clamoring to move someone to first base unless they're a third baseman or a catcher. Right? So like Tristan Casas was a third baseman, moves to first, but like moved to first relatively early in his pro career. Like with all the catchers kind of playing first base for the Red Sox in their system right now, it's kind of one, you keep some of your catchers off there, you know, from the whole up down of catching, but also too, like, where else are you going to move a catcher?
Yeah,
you're not putting a catcher at shortstop.
Catcher's very limited.
So like, it's like unless you got a Blake Swihart type that you can put in the outfield, and even then that didn't work out well. So you're limited, right? Yeah. And so I think that's part of the issue with first base. You're not clamoring to put a premier athlete there. And you're also too, like, there's not a lot of positions, like even like a bad second baseman probably gets moved to the outfield. Because second basemen traditionally also are shorter. And traditionally you don't want a short first baseman.
Yeah.
You know, third basemen now aren't always tall guys either. A lot of times they might be former shortstops. Maybe they are a little bit shorter, like an Alex Bregman. You're not putting that, or Caleb Durbin. You're not putting those guys at first base, right? If they were bad defensively. Like, I'll use Franklin Arias. If he had to move off a shortstop, he will never see first base.
Yeah.
He would see second base or third base, or even the outfield. Yeah, like he would never see first base.
Yeah.
Right.
I agree.
Do you want to kind of touch on? We should probably touch on Salem. I feel like.
Yeah, I think we're done. We mentioned Bouchard had a good game. Futrell had a good game. Obviously, Eyanson. But yeah, I think we're good to move on.
I actually want to start on the pitching here in Salem. Kind of flip flop it. Miles Patton had 5 shutout innings with 6 strikeouts. Barrett Morgan out of the bullpen had 3 2/3 shutout innings, just 1 hit given up and 7 strikeouts. Dylan Brown had 5 2/3. Can't read. Jeez. 5 2/3 of 1-run ball. It was an unearned run that he gave up. He had 7 strikeouts. Ethan Walker did give up 2 runs in 5 1/3, but he had 9 strikeouts. Madison Frias did give up 3 unearned runs, but 5 strikeouts in 3 2/3. Did struggle with command a little bit, but still the 5 strikeouts in 3 2/3 is nice. Jacob Mayers, 4 innings out of the pen, got a save off that as well. Just 1 hit given up, no runs, 4 strikeouts. And who was it? Jason Gilman went 3 innings with 2 strikeouts, no runs. And then I thought it was funny. Leighton Finley had 1 strikeout in 5 innings. He gave up 2 unearned runs, but no earned runs. And every time a starter puts up a stat line like that, I always find it a little bit funny. Because it is interesting. I always like to see how a starter pitches when they're not striking guys out. It's one of those stat lines I find a little bit funny, but I'm also intrigued by it. He did in the 5 innings. He gave up 3 hits. He did walk 3. But like I said, he only gave up 2 runs, and they were both unearned runs. And I'll use the example. I'll use the Peyton Tolley example, right? Because Peyton Tolley, last year, had the nasty fastball, but the secondaries were very clearly a work in progress, right?
Yeah.
When a team can sit on that pitch that struck out all your minor leaguers, what do? Right? And for Tolley never got that in the minor leagues because the fastball was just too good.
Yeah.
And minor league teams don't have the same stuff. I think there was a story that came out about how the Blue Jays used the trajectory system basically to just take BP off of his fastball, before the game.
Yeah.
And so all the hitters knew it was coming. They just literally sat fastball. So because they had the trajectory system at their home stadium, they're playing in Toronto, right? So I do find it interesting. We haven't seen it with Anthony Eyanson yet, but I would love to actually see an Anthony Eyanson start where maybe he only strikes out 2 or 3 people, but he goes 5 innings and maybe he doesn't give up any runs, right? That would be the kind of start.
The difference with Eyanson though is he has 4 good pitches.
Well, exactly, but even then though, if he only strikes out 2, but he's limiting hard contact, right? Maybe he's not getting as much swing and miss. Maybe a couple of his pitches aren't on that day, but he's still limiting hard contact, right? He's only giving up a couple of hits, right? And he goes out, gives 5 scores, even without the strikeouts, right? And that's just an example, but I do like to see that sometimes, because it does show too. I'll use Jake Bennett for example, because everyone's everyone's enamored with Tolley's stuff. Jake Bennett's stuff isn't crazy or anything.
Yeah,
but he's a damn good pitcher. And key emphasis on the pitcher part of that, right? He is a pitcher. In some ways, Tolley's still a little bit more of a thrower just because the fastball is so disgusting, right? But look at Conley early, right? Early's a little bit one who fits more of that pitcher kind of mold, I guess, too, right? Ranger Suarez is the perfect example. Ranger Suarez can go out throwing 88 and be totally fine, right? If Ranger Suarez were to go 6 innings and not strike anyone out, I wouldn't think he'd have a bad start. It wouldn't be a guarantee. Oh, he had a bad start. I could still see him giving 6 shutout innings without striking anyone out, right? Not saying that would happen, but I'm using it as an example. So Leighton Finley, him having the 5 innings, only the 1 strikeout, but a little bit of traffic with the 3 walks to 3 hits, but like I said, no unearned runs. Did give up 2 earned runs, but still, that's to me that's still a solid start. It's not I guess it's not the flashy start, I guess is the way to put it. Is there anyone specifically you want to focus on, Hunter, on the pitching side of things?
Pitching wise, or just anything?
I mean, you can go on the hitting if you want, but
okay. Well, I'll just you mentioned all the guys for pitching, but I do just want to say for Myers, obviously that was his first career save. I don't think that'll shock anyone, but so he tied a career high with the 4 strikeouts. Ethan Walker tied a career high with the 9 strikeouts. Barrett Morgan set a new career high with the 7 strikeouts. Miles Patton tied a career high, set a career high with 6 strikeouts. So it was just a very good week for career highs. Obviously, they're all 2025 draft picks, so it's not like they have a ton of time under their belts, but just cool to see a lot of them set like new personal bests in professional baseball. I'm sure they will all pass those numbers again at some point, but still just a big week for records, apparently. And then hitting wise, not a great week for the Salem hitters. Ian Fernandez had a decent week, but 4 of those hits came in the same game. He went 4 for 4 on Sunday. And then
he did steal 4 bases, though.
He did steal 4 bases. Opada only had 1 hit all week, but it was a homer, and he stole 4 bases, I believe.
Yeah.
And then the 2 people that did have big weeks, Starlin Nunez went 5 for 16 with 5 walks. That is very un-Starlin Nunez to walk that much. 2 homers, 2 steals. Overall numbers still aren't anything crazy. He does have 9 steals on the year, but we're starting to see like the spark plug version of Starlin Nunez that we saw all last year. And then Andy Azekar, 7 for 20, 350 average, 2 doubles and a homer. He's up to 280, 336, 500 on the year. 8 doubles, a triple, 4 homers. So he leads the team in batting average with the 280. He leads the team in slugging percentage with the 500. He leads the team in RBIs with 17. He leads the team in runs with 20. He leads the team in doubles with 8, and he leads the team in homers with 4. Again, we've talked about it a couple times. He was someone that the Sox prospects guys were very high on before he came over to the States even, and we are 100% seeing why. Like the everything is clicking for him right now, and it's just the Red Sox. I talked about it a little bit when Jake was on. The Red Sox just keep hitting with these guys. Where I said when we were talking about Eyanson, I said how every year I'm asked to write an article of like who's going to be this year's Roman Anthony type breakout. And every year, the first paragraph of that article starts with me saying, hey, it's probably going to be no one because Roman Anthony type breakouts don't usually happen. And every
or Peyton Tolley type breakouts.
It's been Roman Anthony. It's been Kristian Campbell. It's been Peyton Tolley. It's been, I'm repeating myself from earlier, but
hell, Eyanson. You could argue Eyanson. Yeah,
now it's Anthony Eyanson. And
you could even you could even argue Arias is in that boat even.
Yes,
this
you
year
could.
For this year, like it's absurd.
And it's like, and now we're looking at Andy Azekar, and it's like this is someone who maybe not this year, but next year could absolutely be someone who goes from Red Sox fans know who he is to he is one of the big talks of baseball of minor league baseball, and he's on everybody's top 100 easily. Like he's well up on those boards. And like, he just seems to he plays good defense. He's athletic enough on the base paths. There's legitimate power in his bat. He could do working on the strikeout to walk ratio. But just like he hits the ball hard. Everything's working for him right now. And he's still, I believe, 19.
Yeah,
he just turned 19 in February. Like,
yeah,
like,
he's an 07 baby. That is, yeah.
It's they can't keep getting away with this. I hope they do keep getting away with it, but they can't keep getting away with it.
Hunter, you want to know that he's in 07? I guarantee there might be someone in the DSL who might be like a 2010
2010s.
Oh, there might be.
That's going to hurt my soul when we have to start talking about those guys.
Literally. Let's see. Let me look at
talking about like 2011s, and that's the year that I graduated high school. That might be. I might have to go lay down in traffic for a little bit when that's the case. That's going to break my heart.
Yeah, I think we're on like the 09s, I think, for the international signings for the 2026 period. So next year they're going to be we might be looking at some 2010s entering the system.
Like that, he was born when I was at a high school dancing to freaking Lil Wayne and T-Pain. Got Money. That's what we were dancing to. I was at a dance at the school cafeteria, and he was in a hospital being born. That makes me sick. That makes me sick.
Hey, it's funny because even for me, like, we're getting to the point now where like these guys are younger than me, and like, because
Yeah, it
you
sucks,
hit that,
doesn't it?
No. It's not even that. It's like I've spent all my life like looking up to people who play for the Red Sox and who are like in the Red Sox system, and now it's like
It's a weird transition. It is.
Yeah, it's that weird transition because it's like I like Franklin Arias, for example, right? Like I will like gush over Franklin Arias, and it's like, God damn it! Like this is a 20, like living out his dream, and I'm just here, just like trying, like just about to graduate college at 22, about to turn 23. Like, what are we doing here? Like what the hell?
Yeah.
But like it also like it's like or like Roman Anthony, right? Like being the Red Sox best player, arguably, or at least position player at his age, and it's like, I thought I was supposed to look up to the faces of the franchise. Now the face of the franchise is younger than me, and I'm like, also like it's a little bit rare because like faces of the franchises are normally in their prime, not in their first full season.
That's fair.
So there's also that, but still, like
it's a weird transition because like you're going from not that I was ever going to be a major league player, but it's like that thought passes you when it's like, oh well, now I'm not as now I'm talking about guys that are younger than me. So it's like that doesn't.
It's like that dream's officially dead.
Yeah,
that dream's officially done. Maybe I'll go join us.
Maybe
I'll go join a slow pitch softball league. It's a men's slow pitch, some old men's slow pitch softball league.
Looking at his birth date really messed with me. I was wearing an all white G Unit sweatsuit with white and green Pumas going to those dances, thinking I was the guy. I was 5'2", 90 pounds. Young Hunter, you were such a douche. You were such a douche.
Oh God! But I also mentioned Ty Hodgett 2 homers this week. Not like the craziest week. He went 3 for 16, but
they were his first 2 professional homers.
Yeah, and also too, you hit 2 homers in a week.
Yeah,
I mean, I'd be pretty happy about that. I'll also consider I've never hit a professional home run, so I mean, I'd be happy about hitting just one. I'd be happy about just getting 1 hit. But I mean, you hit 2 homers in a week. Hell, you could have struck out every at bat. I think you could just go away. It's like, okay, it kind of sucks, but you know what? You hit 2 homers. Look at the positives. They had Luke Heyman hit 2 homers, Ty Hodgett 2 homers, and Starlin Nunez hit homers, and then other homers came from Andy Azakar, Skylar King, and Andrew Zapata, who 13 stolen bases on the year. We had him on the show. We had him on last week, but he has been really fun. Kind of this power speed combo's been fun.
Yeah.
Anything else, Hunter?
Nope, I'm good.
Alrighty, here we go. Time for our farm system frenzy.
A little stretching.
Hunter. Of players with 50 or more plate appearances this season, can you guess the hitters with the highest pull rate in the Red Sox system? Minor leagues only.
I'm intrigued because I had just written an article about Kristian Campbell, and one of my big takeaways is that he pulls the ball a lot more than people think. So when he went to AAA last year, it was like 56%. This year, it's like 40. I'm not saying Kristian Campbell. I'm just saying like it. I
was confused. You like cut out for like a second.
Okay. I was saying it intrigues me because I just wrote an article on Kristian Campbell, and he pulls the ball more than people think. Last year, it was when he went to AAA, it was like 56%. This year, I think it was like 45%. But I'm assuming 45% is not even close to being top.
50% only gets you to 13th.
Yeah, okay.
Tied for 13th, but yeah.
I'm trying to think of guys who, while I'm thinking, I forget who said the stat that the Red Sox have one opposite field homer this year. Well, now it's two because Jarren Duran's homer today was opposite, but that's a pathetic stat.
Well,
I'm going to start with Miguel Blaze. He pulls the ball a lot.
So Miguel Blaze has a 65.1% pull rate, which puts him second.
Let's go 1 for 1. Okay, that makes me feel good about myself because if I would have pulled that with confidence and then been wrong, that would have looked rough.
He does pull the ball 8 on almost 2/3 of the time.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yoferi Rodriguez.
Yoferi Rodriguez is 22nd with a 47.4% pull rate.
Let's go with Opada.
Andrews Opada is not in the top 5. No. He's 24th with a 45.5% pull rate.
I'm trying to think of like power guys. For some reason, I feel like people that hit for power are going to be more pull. Luke Heyman.
Luke Heyman has a 65.4% pull rate, ranked first in the Red Sox system.
Now, someone else came to my mind, but I feel like going through my mind, I feel like I've seen him hit the ball like a couple of his homers are opposite field. But I'm going to say Fraley Encarnacion.
No. Fraley is 25th.
Okay, Yoelan Cespedes.
He has a 64.9% pull rate, putting him in 3rd place.
Okay, you know what? That went a lot smoother than I thought it would.
So we've got the top 3.
Did you say top 5?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, shit.
4 and 5 now.
Mikey Romero.
Mikey Romero is not in the top 5. He is 40th with a. Mikey Romero is actually pretty evenly split. 35.6% pull rate, 34.5% to center, and 30% to right. But I think Mikey, a lot of his center might be like pulled towards the right center gap, though. So like,
and there's like a minimum at bats, like Johan Franco.
Minimum 50 plate appearances.
Yeah, okay. Nelly.
Nelly Taylor's not in the top 5. He's 18th.
I don't think this one's right either, because I feel like I see him hit the ball all over the field. But I'll throw Justin Gonzalez in there.
No, Justin Gonzalez is not. He's 26th. So we're looking for pull rates. I'll give you the pull rates. We're looking for a pull rate of 62.1%.
Okay.
And 58.9%.
I don't know why this one popped in my head, but I'm going to go with Skylar King.
No, Skylar King is 7th. Okay. 55.2% pull rate.
Can I get... I feel like any hint would give it away too much.
I will say, one of the people we've definitely talked about.
Like today or just in general?
Recently. As in, like,
as a
recently. Card? No. Close. No. Recently on this episode is more so what I meant. Azakar is 30th.
Starlin Nunez.
He is 5th with a 58.9% pull rate.
So I just need 4.
Yep.
Can I get level or?
I'll give you a hint.
Infield, outfield.
Nope, I'll give you a hint.
Okay.
This is someone who has maybe not shockingly. This is someone who's only played one position this year. Outside of DH, obviously. They've only played the same position this year. And it is a premium defensive position.
Isaiah Jackson.
Nope.
Henry Godbout.
Nope.
It's not Franklin Arias, is it?
No.
He hits the ball.
Arias is 12th. He's 12th. He actually does have a 50.7% pull rate, but he's 23% to center and 26% to right. Godbout's 21st.
Shockingly, has only played one position, and it's a premium position.
I say shockingly just because we just talked about people from this position playing first base. Hint,
it's
a
not
catcher.
Jack Winay, is it?
No, I said hint. It's a catcher. Because we just talked about catchers playing.
We did. You're right.
We just talked about catchers playing first base.
Nate Baez?
No. Nate Baez is
Gerardo
20th.
Rodriguez.
No. He's 14th.
We did Luke Heyman. I think Cliver Salazar has played first, but I'll say Cliver Salazar.
It is Cliver Salazar. 62.1%
Oh,
pull rate. He only played one game at first base last year, and he didn't play first. Hasn't played first base this year. He really hasn't played first base since the Complex League. However, he is in Salem, where they do have D'Angelo Ortiz, so maybe. But I think it is interesting, considering that
and Fred Jimenez. Yeah, he's not going to get a lot of time at first.
Yeah, but it is definitely interesting because at pretty much every other level, catchers have been playing first base, and
yeah.
Cliver Salazar is just like, nah, no first base for me.
They've almost overcorrected.
Yeah,
they had no catchers last year, and then this year it's like they traded for Raúl Martinez, and now he's just like on the dev list.
Literally, Drew Earhart is now the major league bullpen catcher.
Yeah,
one of them.
Juan
Montero's
hasn't played yet. Ronnie Hernandez hasn't played yet. He's someone they traded for.
Juan Montero's on the dev list, and Worcester being basically the bullpen catcher there.
Yeah, they have 47 catchers in Portland. Like it's good that they fixed it, but it's also like maybe you could have traded for someone different than your 18th catcher.
Well, maybe that's because they're not picking a catcher in the draft. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, and also you don't know what you have till you get it. So,
well, I think it probably does protect them from not having to pick a catcher in the draft, just for the sake of last thing you need is oh crap, we have no catchers in our farm system, and now we need to trade for them in the off season, we just had to, they just had to. So, because the only way really to acquire minor league catchers, especially at the low minors, is they better be coming up from the Dominican Academy or the FCL, or you better draft them, because you're not going to get a minor league free agent that's going to play in Greenville or Salem most often.
Yeah. Which, speaking of, thank you, Jake did not do his FCL minute while he was here. The FCL season did start. Speaking of catchers, Jorge Rodriguez hit a homer today. He had 2 hits. He is someone who I think when he gets to affiliate ball, when he gets to single A, I think there's going to be a poop ton of hype around him. He is a very good defensive catcher, and the bat seems to be somewhat legitimate. And then on the first FCL day, I'm trying to find my tweet, but Conrad Kaysen hit 2 home runs.
It's gonna be fun to see what he does just hitting. I do want to see him. I would love to see him pitch too. Yeah, obviously the Tommy John thing, he's not gonna pitch this year, but it'll be fun to maybe see him pick it up next year again. I just don't know if he's even gonna get that chance, just because he legitimately could be a shortstop.
Yeah. It. Like you said, it's going to be really cool when we do get to see him go as a 2-way player. But it is exciting to think about just a year where it's just hey, just lock in as a hitter and go nuts. Dorian Soto went 1 for 3 with a walk in the first game. I forget what he did today. I know he got on base early in the game. Luis Andujar went 2 for 4 with a double, 2 runs or 2 RBIs, a run and a steal. And then the only real pitching to talk about, Carter Rasmussen, 2 innings, no hits, no runs, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts. Obviously not a ton to talk about yet. They've only played 2 games, but Conrad Kaysen also had a double today. So it's good to see he is demolishing baseballs.
Definitely. With that, I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Cool. I guess Hunter gains another point in farm system frenzy, I guess. Question mark. Hunter about to update the scoreboard now.
That's a good point. Oh man, look at that. 5-1.
Oh no.
This is getting.
You know what? You're gonna love this, and then Jake's gonna come back at the end of the year just to dog walk you.
I might cheat.
To be fair, I will say this definitely helps your case because we're not giving out colleges. in this one.
Fair.
So Jake can't use his draft knowledge to kind of get an upper hand. But yeah, we're gonna wrap this one up. Episode 569. Nice. Shout out. We missed 567. So I mean, we got one of the two at least. With that though, we're gonna wrap it up for Hunter and Jake, who was on earlier, who I did not get to join, unfortunately, because I had a damn final. Screw you, finals. My name is Derek. As always, thanks for tuning into the Pesky Report, and we'll see you next time.
Like, this is called the Pesky Report. Like,